down. Yeah, break it down. Yeah, come on. Break it down. One time. Yeah, break it down. Yeah, come on. Yeah, break it down. Yeah, come on. Break it down. Break it down. Down.
Just got up, something's wrong. I waited up with wounds on my feet. Where will you be? Flickering through memories, the Polaroids yellowed in the sun, longing to be seen. So come and hide, hide with me, hide with me, hide with me. Come and hide, hide with me, hide with me, hide with me. Bright, I called you up just to hear your voice on the machine. Nothing will be like it was, but you will always be my first choice, just as it seems. Hide with me. Hide with me.
big hug.
Thank you, ally. Kill secure.
Hello and welcome then, champions, to this month's ESL Go4Paladins Europe Finals for the month of June. My name is Hi-Rez Vox. Kicking things off, I'm going to be joined by none other than Hi-Rez Pretty Hair, Nick Keogh on the mic. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Checking out all this cool new stuff in the patch.
That is fantastic. We've got a lot of cool new stuff in the patch actually coming through, and you are a little bit loud on my end, so I'm just going to turn you down a touch because I have had a... let me tell you a bit of a story, man. I've had quite the disaster this morning in terms of what's gone on with my computers. I come into work, I get set up to go down and get set up to broadcast, and then I find out that my encoding PC is blue screened, and I got to reinstall Windows. So it's been this mad, crazy rush to get everything up and running. But we are here, we're almost ready to go, and yeah, speaking of stuff in the realm, Nick, we've got quite a lot of new stuff which has joined us, especially that which has come through in, as we'll have something up on screen for you in just a second, the Summer Chest. And tell me what's actually joining us in the realm this time around, as we got that lovely new cosmetic set coming in OB53.
Oh my god, there's so much stuff in this chest. Of course, all the summer theme skin, the longboard Lex, as well as Sunkissed Cassie, along with all of the Freedom weapons. That's the Freedom Cannon for Ashe, the Freedom Daggers for Maeve, the Freedom Magnums for Lex, which I think are probably my personal favorite. And then last but not least, the Freedom Rifle for Victor.
Oh, so much freedom coming through as well. And of course, that's in celebration of now, look, I come from Brexit land, man. You're going to have to explain this to me, but I gather you got a special celebration coming up in North America or something which is might have been wiped from my European memory or my UK memory specifically.
It's the anniversary of us seceding from you guys.
Ooh, oh, that cuts me deep, man. That cuts me deep. But anyway, we do have the bracket ready for you, folks. It is the monthly finals. Just to explain the format to you all who may not be familiar with exactly what's going on, the ESL Go4Paladins Cup is a monthly repeating circuit. So we have a series of qualifier cups every Thursday throughout the duration of every single month, where players can sign up, get involved. They're playing for a cash prize at the end of the cup, as well as crystal prizing in-game as well, but also Go4 points, which all add into your standings. And the top 8 teams at the end of every month by the standings are invited into a special monthly finals cup, in which there is 500 euros of cash prizing up and available for everybody who competes. And as a result, we do have the bracket up on your screen ahead of you. You can see the seeding is as follows. We've got District 69 right at the top. Coming in next is actually going to be Flashpoint, as Gangstars did not compete in many of these cups throughout the duration of the Go4 series this June, focusing a little bit more, I think, on the Premier qualifiers, as we've got DreamHack Valencia rapidly approaching. But you can see the matchups on your screen right now, Nick, and looking at those in the bracket, are there any that you're particularly looking forward to?
Honestly, I always enjoy, I think, WASD and Burrito, because I think they're kind of close, right? I enjoy watching a lot of the mid-tier teams get to duke it out, and whether it be the quarterfinals or the semifinals, because I always like to see kind of how their strategies are evolving. We see these guys come up over a long period of time and slowly chip away at the higher top tier teams, trying to make their way closer and closer to the finals.
And, you know, speaking of a couple of other teams which have been up and coming like that recently, you know, we've always talked about Flashpoint as being the success story in that regard, but we've got Madcore and Zealous Esports as well, who've really come out of the woodwork and started to shine within the month of June. And Zealous Esports have been performing phenomenally. Madcore as well, a French team, which we're very happy to actually be representing as I transition through as the first matchup today, Nick, which will be on your screen in just a moment. And that's going to be fantastic to watch. So we're seeing some regional representation come through. And speaking of regional representations, I take you on this wonderful segue. In fact, this might as well be a segue ride. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, maybe on YouTube or Twitch, or maybe you are actually a veteran watcher of the ESL Paladins streams, but you're not familiar with the fact that we do have localized rebroadcasts going on. So if you're interested maybe in watching in your native language, then let me just shout out a few different Twitch channels in which you can do so. We got a couple of French broadcasts going on today. One is on Belmadi's channel, and that is twitch.tv/Belmadi96. We have Zutriv as well, and I'm sure a lot of you know Zutriv from the Paladins community anyway. Big, upstanding member of the French Paladins community, does a lot for the esports side of things, and he is broadcasting also as well in French. We have a German broadcast from Broccoli, that is Broccoli with 2 Ks and an underscore after the I, as a new broadcast who's just joined us, and also the Tarzan GTR HD on Twitch is broadcasting in Spanish. So we got a lot of localized broadcasts going on there. It's phenomenal and fantastic to see so many people interested in casting Paladins. And speaking of which, if you are interested in getting involved in casting Paladins yourself, then we do have a special treat for you that's going on today. We are testing out and debuting a clean feed of this broadcast. So that is just the gameplay, no caster audio, no overlays or anything like that. It is just going to be the gameplay from the same perspective that you'll see on screen. And that's going to be broadcast today and is currently being broadcast on twitch.tv/Paladins_Raw. So, Nick, back when we started commentating Paladins, you know, I first came in when we were all going off Twitch streams. That was literally all that we had to do. And at the end of things today, like it's been fantastic just to be able to really get involved. And as I can see that there is actually a music issue, let me just get rid of that there. As I can see that there was an audio issue during this time. Yeah, when we started off commentating Paladins, it was all coming through Twitch streams, you know. It was all coming through this kind of haphazard push of like, let's try and sync up, let's try and get involved. But still, we had the opportunity to have these clean feeds, and that was where we really cut our teeth and started commentating before we got involved with stuff like ESL, before we started getting involved with community cups, and then eventually the Paladins Founders Tournament is where myself and Evan really started to kick things off during the qualifying phase. And we're really happy to be able to come out and provide that for everybody else who wants to get involved as well. So make sure you check out twitch.tv/Paladins_Raw if you want to get involved. But for the time being, folks, we are straight back to a bit of a waiting screen, as we do have to get our spectator clients synced up on the backside of all of this good stuff behind the scenes. It is going to be Flashpoint versus Madcore in the best of 3 finals, best of 3 quarterfinals for this month's June monthly finals for the Go4Paladins Cup. We'll be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Then we both grew up in time, but everything's still on my mind all the time. Yeah, all the time when I think it over. I remember you said one night you would never leave this town on your own, but now you're gone.
Hello, and welcome back then, champions, to game number 1 of this best-of-3 set between Go4Paladins and Flashpoint Esports in the quarterfinals of the June monthly finals. We're off to Jaguar Falls for game number 1, of course. Vox and Pretty Hair still on the mics. Let's go ahead and check out the teams, check out the legendaries as well. Starting off with Madcore. Nick, we've got a Torvald coming out. We
definitely do. So Torvald going to be played by Jay Bezaz. He's going to have a field study as his legendary. Wormhole will be the selection for Zoggy's Eevee. It's going to be battering ram for Vinayaka's Ash. Alexi has Exashing Hassie, and Mortal Reach is the legendary selection for Zalborg Ceres.
On the other side of things, Cog pulling Architectronics. We have Sezi Bland on Ripen Gourd, Maldamba, Cephicloud on Block Makoa, Fishco on Fusela Drogos, and Cybate on Death Hastens Lex. And kicking things off initially, Zogi's looking for something in the back line, trying to find some damage here, but just isn't able to pick really anything up so far. And Go4Paladins seem to be getting a bit of objective control.
Yep, trying to keep this Torvald up as well with his new changes to his HP pool. Is a little bit more healable, but still seems like he's having some trouble surviving on the point.
In a lot of trouble now is potentially Zalborg, as they do manage to rend a few souls, heal themselves back up again. But Madcore are now being forced off the objective as Cog has got established. Cybate so far picks up a double kill on Lex and is now pushing out towards the enemy backline, trying to find somebody to shoot at here. A few chip shots go out, but nothing really achieved. Eevee comes in looking for a kill, and those Ceres projectiles that were increased in speed in OB53 are really starting to swing out. They're a lot more difficult to hit now, Nick, but they're certainly locking off a lot of angles for Madcore, but they're still not able to push through.
Flashpoint are going to come away with this first payload. Eevee Soaring Game looking for an angle on this fight. Just getting set up. So valuable for Flashpoint with this barrack, with this Makoa, being able to dredge anchor everybody into that entrenched barrack and all that damage, like you mentioned. Cybate having a good game on the Lex so far, but under a little bit of pressure now, Zoggy's going to be able to take him out.
And what's really important as well, you said pull everybody in. It's not just the barrack turrets. It's the fact that we've got a Ripen Gourd Maldamba here that I really love as well, because once you get pulled in directly onto that slow, you're not going to escape very easily. So it's a really nice composition from the side of Flashpoint Esports. And Nick, whilst we got a little bit of a lull in the action, the payload is pushing forwards. Let's talk about champion bans, as that was something which was actually introduced to us in the most recent patch.
It absolutely was, and the bans for this game, if I'm not mistaken, were a Bomb King and a Ruckus. So it's going to be interesting to see how the bans start to impact how teams choose to ban things out. Will it be things like Ceres and Maldambas, banning meta healers? Will it be banning more tanks, or just kind of like what we saw, a nice even split between really contested 4 picks in the Bomb King and the Ruckus?
And you see, that's what I think a lot of people actually initially expected was, let's go and ban out all the healers, we'll take out the supports, and people will be left with like, who gets Ying, and then who gets maybe a Grok or a Pip. But actually, it is the Bomb King and the Ruckus that have been prioritized so far, and with those powerhouses off the table, we're seeing the fights break out a lot more centered around Makoa again, but also this Drogoz. Convergence gonna pull in Cybate, who does get executed by Zalborg. Dread Serpent used in response, but Torvald's still on the front line from Madcore. Flashpoint unable to push through so far, but Alexi might be a bit overextended in the backline and does fall to Fishco.
Fishco's trying to get out of this one alive. Looks like it's going to be okay for him at this point in time. He was actually knocked away from the fight by Ash, even though he was in a bit of a bad spot. May have been able to capitalize on that. Cephicloud's still over here on the right flank, looking for some damage onto the Torvald, who still, for me, hasn't been having a super high impact, even with the changes to his shield, giving him more HP. Still seems to be struggling a bit.
Somebody who's struggling, though, is definitely Alix and the Cassie. They were pulled into danger. Cephicloud able to escape for the time being, and Lex is here for a little bit of backup. Looks for the execution, but Dragon Punch has been channeled. Fishco goes in, slays Torvald as well, and Fishco on Drogos is certainly a force of nature to be reckoned with. 15 seconds left on this payload push. Flashpoint getting relatively close to conversion, sitting on a few ultimates, which might help them through, but they've actually elapsed a few of those right now.
Yeah, not having his Bomb King this time around. Fishco still succeeding on his Drogos. Blinking back and forth, goes Zoggy into the backline, but still struggling to get anything done. Salvo Prime and Salvo let loose on the payload, doing some good damage to Torvald, but he's way off on this Dragon Punch. Doesn't even need it. Big damage from the Salvo.
Double kill comes through for Cephicloud as well, looking for more on the objective, just as Ceres contesting very, very low on health. Cassie's going to roll out towards the objective, try and contest, but Cezzy Bland shuts them down with a double kill on Maldamba. That increased projectile speed doing works for them, and with 4 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock, Flashpoint are leading 2-0.
Yeah, this Fuselage Drogos is proven to be a big problem for Madcore right now. Fishko's so accurate with his projectiles. We see him mostly on the Bomb King, but with those bans, like I mentioned, it's going to be pretty cool to be able to see some of these guys on different characters, see just how deep those champion pools will go. And he's way out in front right now with 40k damage. Actually, in second place, though, interestingly enough, is Cephicloud on Makoa with 31,000 damage, beating out an Eevee, a Cassie, and a Lex.
Right, it's the Lex which really surprises me as well, because Cybate has such a legendary reputation for being an insane aimer and a damage dealer, and that's the kind of player that you want on the Lex, but able just to pick up a lot of pluck shots on this Makoa and just consistently be on the front line, dropping so much damage, is Cephicloud, all the while backed up by the Maldamba, played by actually not played by Kokog this time around. The Maldamba is being played by Cezzy Bland, but that's really helping Orgman, and just having a reliable support who's able to keep you alive, but also set up kills as Kokog takes out Vinayaka on the back of the Dread Serpent, but Torvald's on the objective now.
Blowing people off the wrong way. Normally we see people go the other way to try and actually get the frags. There's the Ancient Rage from Cephicloud. He's got the Shell Spin as well to stay on top of this Torvald. 4 members alive from Flashpoint right now, trying to lock down Elixir in the back line, but he's doing a good job just kiting.
Rampage so far for Cephicloud as they pick up a 5th kill in a row. Elixir is cutting very well as dodge roll Cassie. Actually, Zalbor could be in a lot of trouble. No, is able to stay safe. Both the Eevee, the Ceres, and the Cassie do stay alive, but still Flashpoint are on the objective. They're starting to get entrenched. Madcore, they're going to have to find a way to breach through, and Eevee's Ice Storm ultimate might just be a way to do that, as that is charged and ready.
Kokog's not setting up on the point, though. He's keeping this Torvald locked down in the corner. Cybate's actually going to execute him. Now it's actually Barrick rotating into the back line, trying to put some pressure on the Eevee, as well as Ceres forcing them out 87% and climbing on Flashpoint's point.
Dashing in then will be Ash as well. The shoulder bash ultimate is not available, and she's already down. Was charged and ready, but Vinayaka dies before they're even able to get that off, so no damage immunity there. Flashpoint, they capture again, and even though Elix is picking up a couple of kills in the back line, it's just not enough to turn the tide of battle. Flashpoint are surging ahead in this game, looking unstoppable.
Yeah, this Eevee's been pretty quiet for me thus far. There are a lot of big changes to her, so I honestly expect people to maybe struggle a little bit. Wormhole seems like it's going to be the undisputed new meta legendary for her, and it requires a big playstyle change, Fox. It's a very different way of playing the character. There's a lot of adjustments to not having that bonus damage off the blink, and I think we're seeing that reflected in the struggles of this character right now.
And we also just don't have the same safety net anymore. Reprieve granted so much of that previously to any Eevee player. They could pop into Ice Block, receive a full heal, and then even if their enemy is focusing them, they'd be back at full health, so they could get out of danger quite easily. But now with Wormhole, you're vulnerable where you're blinking to, but players also are aware of where you're blinking back to, and might often set up traps. And as we see Dragon Punch come through again from Fishko onto Torvald, taking out that big health target as well. Let's talk these Torvald changes and why Drogos might have gone into morale boost instead of Rekka here.
All he's looking to do is Dragon Punch this guy as much as possible. The shield is much lower HP than it used to be, down to only 2,000 HP. There's a triple kill, though, coming through for Flashpoint. 3 for nothing in this engagement.
Oh my goodness, and it's just devastating to see the Dome Shield come out, just separating, carving the back line from the front line, and only the Cassie left alive. Flashpoint Esports, they pick up a 4-0 in Game 1 on Jaguar Falls, and they're going to get ready for Game 2 shortly. But before we go there, let's just go ahead, Nick, and check out the scoreboard available on your screen right now. See how the players performed, and any sort of wildcard stats you're really picking up on here?
Just a little bit of a lack of damage. I didn't see the Torvald field study synergy coming out too much. I think that could have been a really good way to utilize this Eevee, shield her up before she blinks in, and almost give her that pseudo blink damage back a little bit with the field study supplementation, but didn't see a whole lot of that. And I think the name of the game here is that this composition for Madpoint is just going to take so much more execution, so much more, communication even to run this Torvald with a field study, whereas everyone on Flashpoint can kind of just fend for themselves. Kaka can just get set up. Everybody else, nobody's really relying heavily on another teammate to help them do their job. And I think we're seeing that easy win as a result.
That certainly may well be the case. You know, that independence so valuable. Also for Flashpoint as well, let's talk a little bit about just the swap between. We've seen Kokog playing Barrack this game, Nick. when previously they've been playing nothing but supports for the last few months, going from the sort of one-trick pony on Drogos to being a very diverse support player and a very top-tier support player. Now, onto Barak with Sezi Bland taking the Maldamba. Seems to be an adjustment which is working out. I mean, is this something that you'd like to see permanently, or do you think this is just maybe a one-off to test it out?
They might just be testing it out, seeing where they can flex in their roster. It often happens to be that a lot of support players are some of the most flexible character or people on the team. Rather, you got Cuss Cutie for Cryptic, who can play just about anything. Bird plays almost anything at an extremely high level, as well as Spunky transitioned from playing support on the Burrito roster to then playing damage for WASD to then going back to the support.
There's just so much flexibility in the top tier teams, and you really do need it when you're faced with an opponent like Flashpoint. That's something which we're going to have to see Madcore start to demonstrate relatively soon as they do get ready for the next map, which is up and available on your screens, Nick. We're going from Jag Falls to Frog Isle, and now we've got champion bans in the mix as well. I've got to ask you, are there any specific champion bans which you might be wanting to see on a map like Frog Isle?
I think the Bomb King and the Ruckus are both characters that can do fairly well on almost any map. What they bring is not super map specific, so these are pretty safe bans that I don't think we'll see these teams go away from. Maybe we would look at something like a Makoa ban or even a Drogos. But that's I think the Bomb King and the Ruckus are pretty much plug and play into most compositions, so those are always a safe bet for your ban.
Does make you wonder if we're going to start to see targeted bans come out as the sets get a little bit further through, maybe pushing some players to the limits of their champion pools. That could be... There's so much potential here, right? They changed it into an entirely different metagame, because we're not just talking about like what is the most effective ban, it's what is the most effective ban versus this team. And as far as that goes for Frog Isle with Flashpoint versus Madcore, after Flashpoint took game one, Madcore, I think they're going to have to take at least something away from Flashpoint they're working on with so well. We'll have to find out exactly what that is coming up next after the break with game 2, as we've said, on Frog Isle. Welcome back then, champions, to game number 2 of this best of 3 quarterfinal set between Flashpoint and Go4Paladins. We are on to the map of Frog Isle, and speaking of, Nick, before we go through our champion rosters, the bans were actually Flashpoint taking away Makoa and Madcore here taking away Cassie, and we'll get onto why in just a little bit. But starting off with Flashpoint, you can see that they're running Cog on Aerial Assault Ruckus here, Cloud on Battering Ram Ash, Fishko still on Drogoz, but Combustible, the legendary of choice this time, Eagle Eye Canessa for Cybate, and Sezibland on Ripen Gourd Maldamba.
Bad Corpse has Mortal Reach for his Ceres Elixir, has Accelerant for his Bomb King, Scorch for Vinyaka's Fernando, J Bayaz has Architectonics for his Barrick, and Zoggy's once again on that Wormhole Eevee, looking for the first point of initiation.
That's going to really come from...
take a big headshot.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be Cybate there on the Canassa, who just does so much damage. But speaking of damage, Fishko already dishing out an absolutely massive amount from Combustible Drogoz, but Zogi able to re-engage after being healed up and actually pick up first blood. Actually is taken out the air by Cybate here now, who's looking to pick up a double kill, trying to find a triple kill. They do spot out Ceres, but instead they can't find the angle. They'll leave Cog on Ruckus just to close it out. And once again, we've actually got Nick Cog playing the frontliner here, demonstrating some of that diversity, and it is definitely working out for Flashpoint at this stage so far.
Another champion in the pool, and perfectly said there, I think, cleaning up, and this character is just so tanky when there's not enough left on the field to really outburst the amount of defensive mitigation this guy's got in combination with the amount of offensive pressure he can put on a team. It's really something to behold once a Ruckus gets going. 69% on the objective for Flashpoint. Mad Corps are going to be looking for their retake.
They've got to come in here somewhere, even if it's just with the Eevee blinking in, going into Iceblock to buy some time. 99%, but Zogi can't actually get onto the payload, instead trying to pressure out the Canessa, and that's the payload already spawned for Flashpoint at 2 minutes into this game. Good work so far from the blue team. Let's see if they can keep it up.
Really good tracking of this Eevee by Cybate, actually keeping her at pretty low HP the entire time. Cog's able to finish the kill. Big headshot in combination with some damage from Cog. Results in Alexi going down too, and now Vinyaka's in a bad spot. He will fall as well.
And all the while, you're saying it's that 1-2 punch of Cybate and Cog going in. The Aerial Assault Rock is appearing where you just don't expect them to. The kill set up by Cybate with just the consistent damage coming through from Canessa as well. And as Cybate goes on a killing spree, Headhunter is activated. Ash going to be forcing out the front line here, just trying to keep everybody at bay. Cybate's running out of players to shoot at this stage of the game, and there seems to be no sign of this payload slowing down. Madcore are pretty much trapped in their spawn.
Doesn't do anything to land with that Headhunter there, but he pops it just on the off chance, I think, that he gets the free pick onto the Eevee, so not a whole lot wasted there, as Canessa can charge her ultimate very quickly, as well as Fishko as he lands the Dragon Punch onto Fernando.
Oh my goodness, Cybate actually takes out Barrick there, as they did jump right in front of their field of vision while Cybate was looking for the Eevee pickup. Does get taken down at last, but only Bomb King left alive for Madcore. Way out of position there. Payload pushes through, no problem, and that's an easy 2-0 for Flashpoint.
Yeah, we have two people just blind diving this Canessa, and he was, you know, Cybate, I think, wisely positioned further and further away from that team fight. As you start to get a momentum as Canessa in a team fight, you kind of realize people are going to be breathing down your neck. You almost get ready for it. Cybate, you know, rotated way out of that fight, drew in the Bomb King and the Eevee away to the back line, and then Flashpoint, they're content to just sit on the payload with both their tanks and their healer and just push that in for free, Vox.
Very happily so. Itemization coming out from between both teams then. Madcore, they're sitting on only tier 1 offensive itemization, only a tier 1 on the utility there as well. I like that they're holding back their credits to try and get the cauterized 2s online, as that is going to be impactful versus Sezibland, who's currently sitting at 34,000 healing, but Flashpoint, they're going to start to snowball that away. And actually, speaking of, Cloud might be able to find a big kinetic burst here. Doesn't get the knock off the map, but that was very, very close, and still has their shoulder bash charms. Elix is trying to charge their King Bomb. They do get the damage off. Oh no, the immunity doesn't stun him in air. The chain CC enough to shut the Ash down. Such a nail biter there for Flashpoint. But Madcore have already capped 50% on the objective.
Just heartbreaking there, and I think the appropriate response may have been just a shoulder bash. You get CC immunity and 90% damage reduction. That's, you know, it's just as good as the ult in that situation.
Right, exactly. Against the King Bomb would have been perfect there. Then the ultimate can be chained up afterwards, but still, Cog all the while, you know, has stayed alive throughout this fight and has allowed Flashpoint to come straight back in, as they've been distracting everybody on the front line, the back line, and oh my goodness, so much devastation coming out from Fishko as well, and this Combustible Drogoz.
Wow.
No sign of Madcore getting back on the objective. Flashpoint are rolling here.
Yeah, actually knocked the Fernando onto the low ground. Dragon Punch comes out here, almost connects with Barrick. Actually, I think he got saved by the Immortal there just by the skin of his teeth. Great play from Vinyaka, but unfortunately for them, Flashpoint are going to take this second payload.
Viniaka is able to pick up a kill on the back of that, so it's going to get plenty more credits in their pocket right now. Let's take a look at the net worth chart as this game is progressing, and you can see actually with a kill onto one of the most survivable and one of the most deadly players on Flashpoint, that is going to be a lot of more credits in their pocket, but still a very, very one-sided net worth chart. Flashpoint far leading ahead in credits. Maybe some mid-round buys coming through if they get the opportunity to, but Madcore, they're trying to hold here.
It's all blue on that net worth chart. Now, actually under some pressure, Cybait's going to go down in the back line here. Zogi will fall as well at the cost of his Ice Storm and 1 pill. It's a 3-for-1. I think Flashpoint are happy with that.
Absolutely. They're going to continue forcing players back into their spawn. Zalborg just trying to get into base, but can't... Oh, just about made it. Was being pressured and harassed by Ash that entire time. The full zone is in effect. We've got Cog set up with Hexafire if necessary. Eevee once again blinking into the backline. Is going to stall out momentarily. Seziblan could be in trouble here. Is getting run down by Barrett. Conversions pulls a lot of players in, but Cog's activated Hexafire just to be CC immune off the back of that, and even though they go down, Flashpoint, they've managed to equalize the trade here. Big headshot from Cybate. Double headshots from Cybate. Take out 2. Can they find the kill on the Bomb King coming around the corner? Misses the Kinessa. Triple kill for Cybate in that engagement. Payload continuing to push. 1 minute left on the clock.
42% on Headhunter. He's under some pressure from Zogi, but Fishko helps him out. Has a clear line of sight on this MagCorp spawn, and it's looking really bad for them as a Dread Serpent comes out. Triple kill now from Fishko's turn.
And oh my god, it's just back-to-back triple kills. Flashpoint push through as again Bomb King dives into the backline, leaves the payload alone. But at that point, Nick, I think it felt like it was completely game Grover for the red team there.
Yeah, I mean, Flashpoint have been insane these past couple of weeks of qualifying for DreamHack. They don't actually make the spot there, but it is really cool to see them continue to improve. Their best week, in fact, in my opinion, was the last week, so it was unfortunate to see them fall in that tiebreaker they had against WASD, but I feel like this roster is really coming together.
It certainly is, you know, they got so much cohesion. I like the little swap around that they've made, as watching it in this game as well with Cog and Seziblan. Cog always was that frag player, so putting on a champion like Ruckus, where they can really sort of outplay that mentality, a very nice switch around. It's interesting to see how Seziblan is faring on support as well, maybe not controlling the pace of the game quite as well as we have seen Cog previously, but with the changes to Maldamba, it feels like Seziblan is certainly comfortable in this champion, dishing out at least 8,000 damage that game, really not a part of many kills, just mostly escorting the payload with the, I think as well, the highest objective time in game, but able to dish out 69,000 healing nonetheless, so a good positioning mentality for this support player, transitioning from damage and just making sure they always have line of sight to their team. For the side of Madcore, as we do see them now eliminated from the finals, the 2-0 taken by the squad of Flashpoint, were there any sort of saving graces, any shining lights which you saw through the duration of that game which you'd like to point out, Nick?
Well, we did see both Zogi and Alexi get about 33,000 damage, which is pretty good that Zogi was able to keep up, stick to his guns on this Eevee. I think it's obviously just a comfort pick for him if this is what he kept going back to. But like we said, I think Eevee's just going to take some serious figuring out. And right now the consensus is that Wormhole is better, but there's a lot of situations in that, you know, Reprieve would have bailed Zogi out. Those 7 deaths may have been able to be cut to at least 5 or maybe even 4.
Yeah, I gotta ask you, like, how it took us so long to get around to this Reprieve meta. It was definitely very, very much a Wormhole Eevee meta for the longest time, even when legendaries were introduced. So it's quite it's interesting to see, right, how everybody's initial perceptions change over time. Maybe not determined by what's particularly strong or what's not, but the perception of what is strong can maybe influence the meta a little bit more than what maybe is your best opportunity, and that's certainly somewhere where we could see that come out. As well, with recent changes to a few different champions, we've seen this Fernando change come through as well. How do you feel that Viniaka impacted the fight with their new increased range on Flamelands?
It's tough to say, really. At only 20,000 damage, I mean, sure, his Fernando can be a little bit more impactful from a little bit further away, and the same thing kind of goes for Ash, but both of those tanks are lower on the DPS spectrum for the frontliners, so I think either way, it's going to be tough for them to have an outright impact. In terms of, you know, their left-click damage, their value, I think, is always going to come from the amount of control they're able to bring with shields, and ults, of course, very impactful for those frontliners.
Definitely, and with any other changes coming into the realm, Nick, just whilst we're getting some stuff set up behind the scenes here, I got to ask you, we saw Cassie banned away in this last game. Now, with a name like Cybate on the squad, On a map like Frog Isle as well, where disengage specifically could be very devastating. Now it's got an increased fire speed as well, so that projectile travel is going to hit you like out of nowhere, like grease lightning across the map. Do you think we're going to see more of these targeted champion bans for against the damage champions? Because again, moving back to what we said before, we thought it was going to be all support bans initially, but that's definitely not been the case so far.
Yeah, I think it's going to change with the caliber of teams. So lower caliber teams often will try to get their fraggers on the picks that they're comfortable with, whether it be a Victor, whether it be a Tyra, whether it be a Cassie. So I think against those types of teams, it's going to come down to more of those damage bans, those flank bans, those real comfort bans for the DPS players that we see. But at the highest level of play, you know, when you look at somebody on a District 69, a Gangstars or a Cryptic, those guys can play almost anything in terms of their fraggers. So they have at least 3 champions that I personally feel most of them can play at the highest level. So banning them away, target banning them away, might be the right way to go if it's a part of the strategy. But overall, I think the tanks and the healers are more highly prioritized, and as a result of that, I think we'll see more bans against those types of champions against the higher teams.
It'll certainly be interesting to see how it develops as just today's tournament goes through, as we do have plenty more action coming up in just a second. As you can see on your screen, we've got a bracket update for you showing exactly how the rest of the quarterfinals in round 1 went down. And it's 2-0s across the board in this best of 3 round. District 69 with a 2-0 advance to face up against WASD Sports. And Nick, you mentioned that you're excited about the prospect of WASD versus Burrito. It looks like WASD certainly had a handle on that set as they advanced through the sweep as well. Flashpoint, we know, took the 2-0 over Madcore, and Gangstars the 2-0 versus Zealous. So your semifinals are District 69 versus WASD Sports and Flashpoint Paladins versus Gangstars. So we've got the 2 juggernauts from the scene with District 69 and Gangstars going up against, this is almost like a summer premiere set here also.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool to see. Should be very exciting. One that I'm excited because these 2 teams are, you know, very close, I think, in terms of their skill level. So interesting stuff that we'll be able to enjoy.
Certainly going to be the case. For now, though, folks, I think we've spent long enough talking. We'll leave you with an episode of Top 5 Plays on your screens. Get ourselves queued up for the semifinals coming on your screens very shortly, which will be District 69 versus WASD Sports. So stay tuned.
Champions, this is Paladins Top 5 Plays. My name is Vox, of course, and welcome to the show.
I am immovable.
Wardoom, a legendary name among the North American competitive scene. Immovable, insurmountable, no champion more fitting than Inara. But outnumbered, they retreat back from the payload and wait on respawns. Poke thrown out, finds little purchase, chips here or there, but up above, ruckus must be squeezed out of their elevated position. The goblin mech, isolated above, is squeezed out, finding 3 grouped up. Out comes Impasse to funnel their enemies. Seismic crash concusses 3, pulling Drogos from the sky, and the rest of the enemies fall mere seconds later.
Are we going to start fighting for real now?
Perhaps, Cassie, but are you up to the test? Androxus' reversal sidestepped, they mark an easy first kill. Victor is the next target, slippery as they bob and weave their way to safety round with their hustle. Fernando applies pressure in return and Cassie retreats, but not before landing some last-second poke. Relocation. Maldamba proves equally as difficult to pin down. Shots out to Fernando, Canessa the new target of choice. Dodge roll in, but Transporter is too swift. Dodge roll again, 2 shots later shuts down Maldamba. In the distance, Canessa still prioritized. Protection from Torvald ensures that Cassie wins this duel. Last shot to finish. That's 5 in a row.
My subjects keep saying I'm the bomb. I already know.
It might be Bomb King in the intro, but every top fragger has a backbone support to enable their best plays. King Bomb rolls in, Dread Serpent detonated from behind to prevent escape. The coordination is beautiful and devastating and leaves the enemy team reeling.
You think darkness is your ally?
With revolver in hand, Skoza searches for a flank on Frog Isle. Drogo's located a natural predator returns them to the earth. The enemy backline left exposed, Bomb King and Buck are taken by surprise. Barak, now dredged in by Makoa, will become Androxus' fourth victim, and Ying in the distance is focused down. The reload denies the pentakill, but that's still a rampage, and a team wipe nonetheless.
These aren't tricks, they're illusions.
The wonderful thing about supports in Paladins is that even in the midst of battle, they're more than capable of holding their own, and as Cap climbs skyward on Stone Keep, Ying sets out to prove just that. It's neck and neck percentage-wise on the point. The constant healing pressure of illusions deployed on cooldown helps keep allies safe. Wow, no Dread Serpent for you, Maldamba. Thanks, Grover, lucky shutdown. With Ying's hit scan capabilities, they turn to Drogos as their team's only source of anti-air. Illusory Rift comboed inline, Grumpy Bomb stun sets up the kill. Dimensional Link trickery around, the spawned illusions keep skiing alive as they pick up a double kill onto Makoa. Eevee blasted away by Bomb King. Overtime is ticking. Reset as Maldamba slithers in, but Bomb King is waiting. Stun down. Ying finds the double-double shutdown and earns the payload for their team.
Hello and welcome back, Paladins fans, to this ESL Go4 Cup Finals for the wonderful month of June. My name is Hi-Res Pretty Hair, or you may know me as Nick. I'm now joined by Mr. Alan I Hold Shift D'Onofrio. How are you doing today, brother?
Dude, we're doing great. This is a perennial matchup between two of the top 4 teams in the qualifying. A couple of close matches here and there in the weeks. This should prove to be no different.
Yep. So let's go ahead and get through these lineups, guys. It's going to be Bugsy on Grover, Bless Up with a Deep Roots legendary selection, Half Shell Makoa for Elven Path. And then on Gara's Ying, it's going to be actually a focusing lens coming out. Architectonics for Sheepa's Barrack, and Peridot will have Exaction Cassie.
And for WSD, Modestina will be using the Aerial Assault Ruckus Spunky on Ripen Gordon Maldaba. Creatives playing Accelerant Bomb King Comiker on the Battering Ram Ash, and Unbelievable playing the Mother's Grace Inara.
All good stuff. Over on the right side here, looking for a hook onto somebody, anybody. Unbelievable is going to throw that wall up as he starts to contest this payload. Already 36 for WASD.
Yeah, this is looking good. The Inara just committing to point, but this is the problem, was the fact that there's just too much poke coming out from both the Grover, which is always good to see. And of course, for the blue side, we're also getting Barrack set up with these turrets, and that's very dangerous. The double deployable of turrets and illusions, so hard to break through.
Absolutely. Roll shots coming out from Peridot right now, still so healthy. He's got WASD kind of pinned in a corner here. This could be a rough spot. Nice roll away from the stun. Unbelievable's poked out to half as well. WASD just struggling to find their entrance.
Yeah, and this is really the tough part about it. I mean, they really need to get this Inara onto point, but she gets poked out so quickly because she's got no movement ability. You see Elven Path from downtown able to connect one of those cannonball shots onto the aforementioned Unbelievable. Spunky will try to slither away, but dodge roll is good enough for Peridot to get right back into his face, and now we're above 90% for the side of D69 as they look to convert and get their first point on the scoreboard.
This is a really cheeky composition here from District 69. So we've got the turrets and the clones from Barrack and Ying, and I actually believe Grover heals deployables in his current state, so he's going to make this deployable nightmare even worse.
Yeah, that AoE heal that he has, even though it is not really all that great, it still does, like you mentioned, keep those deployables all healthy. And that's what's one of the big things about it. You see Bugsy's taking this high ground, just looking for someone to poke at, and then once everyone starts to get low, he will vine his way back down towards the center part of his team, get that burst heal, maybe throw out a crippling axe and go right back at the fragging, which is what he's doing.
Throwing big axes into creatives, actually forcing him away. Unbelievable's got his attention, and 4 members of D69 are just pushing relatively for free, while Bugsy just holds so much attention with this Grover up on the high ground.
Well, and he's also zoning is the big thing, too. You don't want to step foot into one of those axes from deep range. That 800+ damage is very devastating. It can really get you down. But on the flip side, this is opening up a lot of space for Peridot to just roll around and find these big shots from Cassie. Of course, that projectile speed, Peridot has made that switch over and is finding just as much damage on the Cassie as he did famously on his Androxus before.
Here comes the defense response. Creatives with the King Bomb doesn't get much of anything. Stuns just Sheepa, goes down almost instantaneously after that Dome Shield and Seismic Crash, Dread Serpent shift, ultimates everywhere.
Oh my god, it is actually going the way of WASD, but the problem is Bugsy is still up here on top of this little crevice in the wall and just continues to throw it on axes, finds these roots, and is giving his team a chance. But the Axe of Fire might just change, and Elven Path not able to get the Ancient Rage off, and it's actually going to force the double support of Bugsy and Gara away. Good hold from WASD in the back end of a really brilliant Dread Serpent.
Wow. Jeez, like 4 or 5 ultimates there in that engagement. Probably for the best that Ancient Rage actually didn't get off Elven Path. Over to him, and he's now returned to the fight.
And he's the only one who has an ultimate available, Nick. This is going to be really devastating. You can see he's already getting himself right up in the face, looking for a way to proc it. He will right in the face of Unbelievable. Actually body block the Inara against the payload. And now here comes the damage dealer. Sheepa trying to get himself set up with the Ying, with the illusions. Elven Path still at a very nice health pool. But the big problem is Modestina has taken over that top level where Grover was previously and is not giving Bugsy a line of sight to toss those axes at him.
Didn't get a whole lot done with that Ancient Rage. Kind of awkward positioning at the start of it. 5 seconds remain. The overtime should start. There's 2 picks for D69 and an Illusory Rift to kick off this overtime.
Oh, it's looking good, and now Modestina is actually being pushed back because the rest of the team from D69 is taking this lower ground just below him. With all 5 players here, it's looking good. Gara finds a frag. A nice deep roots on the Bombkin. Gara with 2. Modestina falling low. He gets the emitter. Can he be enough to get his team here? Comiker's trying to do what he can to push everybody away, but there's just so many bodies that wear in the blue jersey, Nick. I don't think it's going to go, and that will be D69 on massive kill streaks, also taking the total to 2-0.
They just get it done with so little sometimes, it feels. That was just really an illusory rift that was popped. Good positioning, early picks, and 2 for 0 right before heading into overtime is definitely a really bad sign for WASD to give up. They almost held that. They are going to come out of it with just the King Bomb ultimate available to him and down 2-0 to D69. Down in a big way on the net worth charts. Bugsy the lowest on D69, but still sitting almost 300 ahead of the highest member, which is Comiker on this Ashe.
I think a lot of that is just due to the fact that he's picking these angles where only his credits are coming off of getting damage dealt. I mean, he's at 32,000 damage, sitting fourth in the chart, and he's not really doing much as far as the objective. You can see he's really pretty low on that, just 26 seconds spent near objectives or on objectives. So now WSD is going to get aggressive with that King Bomb, as you mentioned, but Whirlwind in response, that CC immunity that Bugsy has will keep him right in the face of that King Bomb and says, sure, bring it on in. Healing is fine for me and the rest of D69, but still unbelievable. And Modestina, the double front line for WSD, do find themselves a combined 4 of the 5 kills, and now Bugsy is forced to find a way.
So much tankiness, triple tank. We haven't really talked about it too much yet from WASD, but it is the Ruckus, the Ashe, the Inara, so difficult to bring down, especially without any ultimates, and even with ultimates, D69 don't have any really high impact lethal ults.
No, you have a very good point when it comes down to that's a lot of survivable ults, right? You have the Dome Shield, you have the Ancient Rage, you have a Whirlwind, an Illusionary Rift, and then a Scout. That's all you have. It's all a bunch of sustain and kind of just information gain. But that being said, Perdot on the flip side, by the big sundial part of the map, will find himself a nice flank, able to help out with Modestina while Bugsy picks off another.
We'll have to see if all this healing and this kind of group up situation falls off from D69 as we head to the later stages of the game. Can these 3 tanks have the kind of spearhead maneuver strong enough to break it? Right now, WASD just looking for an angle onto the point. Minute and 55 seconds remain here. 2-1, D69 still in the lead.
Yeah, the other thing too, and we're actually seeing Spunky's going into a double resilience off the bat. He only has the 1 Chronos picked up, knowing that this Grover is really causing him a lot of issues. It's going to be interesting to see, now that we're starting to see double cauterizing and double records come up for WSD, who else decides to go into possible resilience, just again to get rid of that Elven Path stun out of the Dredge Anchor, and on top of that, of course, the Deep Bridge, which can be absolutely devastating.
Modestina up in the skies with this Ruckus, getting into the back line for a big Hexafire, but Bugsy just gets behind a rock. Modestina gets nothing for it.
Yeah, the Illusionary coming out as well with the Whirlwind. Is all this healing coming out at once, and this is putting WASD in a really tough spot. The Dread Serpent was just used as well, and now they're kind of falling flat on their heels as all of these blue bodies are coming and swarming around these frontliners and taking him down one by one.
5 for 7 on those roll shots in the clip, and the other 2 just basic shots all landed. A lot of effort went into saving Peridot's life with the Whirlwind, and Bugsy actually bind over to heal him up afterwards as well. Really good stuff to keep him alive, and Peridot pays it off. Almost gets the disengage off the map for Kamiker, but he's going to find the kill regardless.
Indeed, it would have been for more flair than anything else. And now looking on the left-hand side perspective for WSD, unbelievable Modestina, that double comp that you're talking about before that found 4 of the 5 kills in that previous team engagement are looking for some high ground presence. But again, Bugsy is just sitting on top of this garden where we typically see a lot of snipers kind of position themselves. He's on a 17 streak. He has really been not matched whatsoever. The rest of his team is sitting at 6s and 7s on their kill streaks. It just goes to show how good this team comp is when it comes to getting themselves circulated and moving around all these different heals.
Modestina was coming up to the high ground, it looked like, to actually pressure Bugsy. Finally gets him, even though the first attempt was skunked by a crippling axe mid-air. 3 for 2, 4 for 2, make it a 4 for 3 right now. Peridot's trying to even up the score. He's going to hit the roll shot and barely stay alive.
Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble here, though. Needs to be smart about how he positions. He will jump right in and sacrifice his life.
Smart,
did not want to do too much. Yeah, I would say smart. I mean, he was all the way out there by himself. WASD knew exactly where he was. It was only a matter of time. Don't even try to survive through that. Just get down, come back up with the rest of your team.
Ooh, Grumpy Bomb. Flushing out the high ground right now for WASD. We are in overtime. The longer this goes, the quicker it will expire. If any WASD member fails to contest the point, there's a Whirlwind from Bugsy to keep everyone from D69 healthy. What other ultimates are going to be spent?
Well, they have a Dome Shield if they need to use it, but it clearly comes down to if the offense will use any. And they decide no, not the case whatsoever. They will keep just that 2-point separation of the scoreboard, whiwhich I'm sure D65 is fine with going into this, could potentially be the last cap.
I don't hate the call either from WASD, keeping their ultimates online, not taking the risk. I mean, it is a risk to go, down 3-1 against D69, but they do keep the comeback mechanic enabled. They did get 1 ultimate for no ultimates, so they have that slight advantage. And maybe, given how things went last round, perhaps they're figuring this composition out from D69, slowly making the adjustments, communicating, and they're confident enough in their point fight, team fight, that they can take this to a 3-1 and confident that they can scoop this payload with the ult advantage.
Yeah, this is another interesting adaptation from WASD. There's actually 2 instances of morale boost coming online for both the Ashe and the Inara, trying to find some early pressure with these frontliners, but it's actually D69 who steps onto point first and actually holds back this potential flank. So not really much found out of that itemization coming through, and this is not good as Elven Path is right here in the backline looking to pull people away.
Perdo falls to creatives, and Spunky had to pop his Dread Serpent just to self-peel. Elvin's going to get another one. Pop the Ancient Rage, starts swinging away at Mudasina, gets onto the high ground, but gets hooked straight back down, crippled out by Grover. So much anchor pressure again. Spunky can't get to his squad and heal them.
Yeah, this is looking really bad. The Illusionaire also did come out to keep DS69 alive throughout that. And gosh, Elven Path is still up in the face of the base of WASD. Knows the second line of defense here as she keeps on rolling around, does the Cassie, looking for pulls, and we'll find Unbelievable. That's a big pick. Inara coming down. Who's going to be contesting point? Ashe is here. Hexafire is here as well, but it looked like it was de-triggered.
Dome Shield goes down just to skunk it if it did manage to get off. Crippling throw on the Kamikaze is eating a lot of damage. He's unable to shoulder charge out.
Wow.
Creatives gets hooked in as well. Just poetry. This team composition from D69 firing on all cylinders. Unbelievable. Staggers his way to the payload. The overtime comes out just as a formality. Grover pops the whirlwind, and D69 take the first win of the game.
Really smooth, really fluid from start to finish for D69. I mean, the only real hiccup they had was those double frontliners of WASD picking up 4 out of the 5. And it really, who knows what happened in that situation. It just looked like the defense with D69 was just kind of split focused and couldn't put down one tank and then the other. But for the most of the game, it was literally you find one of the 3. Either you find Ruckus, Inara, or Ashe, and then you got that opening. You move it to the back line. You put Spunky out of his place. You find creatives. I mean, the kills, I think, really say a lot, but the most important is look at the targets that had 13 deaths between Inara and Maldamba.
Wow, yeah.
Those are the 2 that we typically see have the least amount of deaths. So just really good focus for D69.
Definitely. And so many tanky targets. Unbelievable. Just seemed to be the one under the most pressure. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it. He's the least mobile. He's probably the easiest lockdown with a crippling throw from Bugsy, who, by the way, only had 1 death, 74,000 damage. And Grover, it's an interesting thing, right? Because we don't see a lot of Grover right now in the meta, but he's just so tanky in the backline. He's tough to dive, right? It's tough to get that off. It's tough to pull it off and be successful when he's got 3,000 HP base. He's got a good escape. He's got a 1,000 HP heal, and you don't know for sure when his ultimate's going to go up, but that's like a basically just panic button he can pop and just keep himself alive. And as a result, Bugsy just goes largely unpressured.
Yeah, I mean, the 74,000 damage is huge, and, you know, who knows this playstyle that Grover will find after these changes to him. I know a lot of people have been finding themselves boosting those damage numbers and just using him as kind of that burst heal. I mean, there was a couple of morale boosts pulled into both Gera and Bugsy just trying to get those big team heals up. I mean, that's where you find the value, right? And on top of that, we already talked about it midway through the game, is the fact that passive heal and that Blossom can also affect those deployables. So the Barrack and Ying makes sense with this combination just simply because that extra sustainability that Grover does provide, even if he's not leading the healing charts.
That's going to do it for game number 1, guys. D69 versus WASD. D69 take the early 1-game lead. We're going to head to a quick break screen and get game number 2 ready for you. All right, Paladins fans, welcome back to the set. P69 versus WASD, game number 2. This time around, we're on Brightmarsh. It's going to be Bugsy on Exaction, Cassie, Sheepa this time on Totemic Ward, Grok, Ripen, Gord, Maldamba for Guerra, and Battering Rim, Ash for Elven Path. Rounding things out will actually be Perdo on Blastfire, Willow.
Definitely excited to see how that impact comes in with this team comp. But Modestina will be using the Drogos with Wormjets currently selected. Comiker will be using the Ruckus, no legendary selected as of yet. Creatives with the Architectonics Barrack, Spunky with Deep Roots Grover, and Unbelievable with the Catalyst Pip, and it will be Aerial Assault. Comiker selecting for the Ruckus.
Interesting thing to note here is the bans were Eevee for District 69 and Makoa for WASD, and still no Bomb King. So a very meta pick all of a sudden, nowhere to be found.
It's very interesting indeed, not to mention the fact that we're seeing double supports coming out. And Bugsy, who we don't traditionally see on characters like Bugsy, the Cassie being pulled out finds himself 2 kills before falling, but WASD with this kind of massive around the world flank do come right back in and overwhelm D69 on point. They get themselves up, looking to even up and surpass the 33% that still
That was Pat being very careful about how he approaches this one, how he positions himself. He's got that Freedom Cannon looking real good with that one. Poking out a lot of damage right now onto the point. WSD managed to take away 60% and still managing to climb.
Yeah, this is a really good number for WASD. The thing is here, they have to be able to sustain and survive. If they start getting picked, D69 can very easily come back in this zone away and take this point. This is really good. WSD is spreading themselves out from left to right, not allowing D69 any entrance whatsoever besides just diving on the point, which Elven Path tries to do, but as you see, falls very quickly.
Bugsy gets in there, gets the reset as well, gets 1 kill. Garrett gets 1 as well. Overtime's being started and restarted. Garrett needs to get on the point or else he's going to lose it. The slither won't be good enough. He will eventually fall, but Astine and Creatives will secure the first payload for WASD.
And the positioning of Willow is the biggest thing, I think, as far as you looking at the Fairy. I mean, she's just so tough in certain aspects of this map because she can get up high if she has the opportunity to do so, but what line of sight will she be able to provide? You want to find that secure blast shot angle, and right now it's Perdo is attempting to do it up the middle, but it's just absolutely getting picked apart by Grover.
Yeah, that was the big thing I was about to say, is Grover zoning her out fairly effectively. She kind of wants to sit in one spot if she can, just kind of rain hell on the point, but Grover's kind of the opposite character to that. He wants to counter that out. Big ceiling damage comes through. Actually deletes Kamiker. I don't know what he was doing hanging out in that spot, but he definitely pays the blood price for it. Bugsy in the backline as well gets a 3rd kill for his troubles. D69, despite losing the payload, this hold is still looking strong from them.
This is a role that I'm really excited to actually see Spunky play. We've seen him in the past kind of flip-flop between playing damage dealers, playing support, playing frontliners. The Grover, I think, really brings that support aspect that he has been decent with, but also brings that damage aspect that he kind of craves for. And he's really doing a really good job so far. He's sitting just at 15,000 damage, but he's finding a lot of lockdowns, which is big.
Modestina comes in with the Dragon Punch. He's looking for one. He's not going to find it, but the follow-up shot is going to be enough to take down Garrett Firesmith over the top of the wall. Ash's range is just barely not enough. He's going to escape with his life despite missing his ultimate.
Oh, Kamiker used an aerial assault to block the battering ram path of Elven Path. Right as she was about to escape was the Ash, and able to jump and use that to fall right in front and securing the kill. WASD is cool and collected. As compared to last game, their frag ability is so much higher.
Indeed. Trying to find an angle on this fight. Has the Fae Flight available if he wants it. Perdo, big grouping right now from WASD. I don't know if he can see it. Could be a potential good time to use this, as there is no kind of high ground for him to use at this immediate spot to shoot down on WASD.
Yeah, and this is the tough angle when it comes down to it. Dreadsimmer used very aggressively as Garrett tries to push through, but where's the support from his team? Finally, Perdo uses the flutter to try to get in there, but is getting deleted as well. As unbelievable, the Grandmaster Pip, we've talked about how impactful he is on this character, finds himself 2 kills. Elven Path will drop the assert dominance, but it is going to be, it looks like Spunky able to get away. These double supports throwing out all the damage are actually still finding kills.
Oh, no. And there's the whirlwind, keeps everyone alive, including Spunky. Dead Zone does come out to cancel most of that healing, but it might be too little too late. Into overtime, WASD are inching closer and closer. There's the evil Mojo, and they get the conversion going up 2-0. Unbelievable. It's cool getting to see him on his Pip once again. You know, it's one of those classic comfort picks for this guy that we just haven't been able to see because it hasn't been meta for a while.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people might be questioning, was the Evil Mojo even worth it in that situation? It was a 5-on-3, and, you know, the key is they're not up 2 points. Absolutely, it's worth it, without a doubt. I mean, you want to have that 2-point advantage, especially early game. If you look at the itemization, not only are we seeing the simple fact that there's cauterizes already one of them at level 3 from Spunky, but also level 2s across the board, and morale boosts are coming up with that.
That's actually nuts that he was able to get Cauterized 3 online after just that 1 round. So the reason that Pip hold is worth it is because you cut the round there, so no more credits for D69 to buy those types of items. As well as it's D69, bro. Don't take chances with this team. Get what you can when you can.
Without a doubt, that's absolutely the case. Sheepa finding himself in a lot of trouble will be forced to drop the totem and the ghost block at once, so a lot of cooldowns down. Mustastina coming in with the Dragon Punch will find Sheepa as both of those aforementioned things expire. And on the flip side, Kamiker is actually going to be looking for Bugsy, who's still over here in this little area and is poked out heavy. Creative's finding a dome chip and trying to keep him alive. The gourd will actually piece him apart, though. Yep,
he
absolutely.
to the gourd. No. And Fernell gets rooted out as well. Spunky's been sitting on the point this entire time. Wisely gets out. Just barely, though. He's going to be able to survive. Sheepa's in trouble as well. Unbelievable. Comes for a big flank around the other side. Kamiker with the Hexafire back onto the point. Shuts down Elven Path.
And Sheepa trying to throw the Tempest out in the savior effort, but not enough healing there from the Grok. And now Creative's on the flip side. This is what WSD is doing really well. We saw them split themselves from left to right very nicely, and they're doing it again here where Creatives has these turrets, one inside, one outside. He can pick and choose what battles he wants to fight and throw up a barricade wherever he needs it. And he's doing a lot to this backline, which you would think would be safe, but with this turret placement, he's able to play more aggressively.
Whirlwind is popped for Spunky. Tried to get over there to save. Unbelievable. But the dead zone is such a good counter, shutting most of that healing down. Kamiker does get the kill on the Peridot. In the corner now, Spunky waddles into the Dread Serpent, gets himself here, but somehow, some way, both Modestina and Barrack survive. Creatives manages to squeak out of that with no HP at all. I don't know how they managed to drop those kills.
The big issue here, and we mentioned back to the EV ban, there's really nobody who can dive onto this Grover and make him utilize those cooldowns. He's on a 16 streak and has been going absolutely off for essentially free. No one's been able to put really much damage at all into him. The only reason he does fall low is because you can see he's hogging this payload, which is why his credits are so high. And trying to get that off, the big tree off of the payload, is really hard to do with the current team comp that D69 has.
Sheepa trying to stay alive. Grok pops the healing totem. Shock Pulse is going to come out as well, but there's just so much pressure, and Grok has to stand in one place, eats a big salvo. Creatives finds a kill as well, and again, 5 versus 3. WASD looking to close this out 4-0.
And looking to do it in solid fashion. Again, the kill streaks are online for a lot of players, 3 of which are above 10, and Modestina's at 9. This is looking really bad for D69. They need to find a way to get back control at this point, but it's going to be Elven Path committing really hard, and we'll try to use the Assert Dominance, but unbelievable with the quick reaction on the trigger. The Evil Mojo will turn Ash straight into a chicken, and that will clean up just about everybody else past that as everyone was trying to follow in. WASD with a clean 4-0.
Clean, clean, clean. This is really interesting team comps coming out from both squads. So much of this meta is just up in the air right now. It's just too soon to have figured almost anything out. The patch has been out on live for just over 24 hours, and these teams are both pulling out really weird comps, but I love seeing all the diversity. I have to say, it's very refreshing to watch.
Oh, absolutely. This is champions that we have not seen in a very long time, not to mention just the Grover, but we're even seeing Pip and Grok come back into it more regularly. And who's to say that Willow won't be showing up more than what we saw here? And again, looking at these stat lines, there were a lot of things that did go well for Willow, having the 62,000 damage. But the big thing, again, is the 11 deaths. They were just able to find her left and right. And Elven Path has no actual secured killing blows, only finds himself a part of 9 assists. And I think that really goes to show that just the one frontliner of Ashe was just not enough in this aspect.
Yeah, on Bright Marsh especially. 2 frontliners with a Grover and a Pip. So much healing, so much just staying power on the point. You can see 31 objective time was the most that Elven Path was able to accumulate for D69. But I don't hate it, but trying out new stuff, trying to figure out what works. And that's definitely, as you head into kind of a big meta-shifting patch, it's definitely a worthwhile investment to get out in front as soon as possible.
Absolutely. And moving forward, we will be back to map number 3. This is a best of 5. So this could go the distance here. Both of these teams showing some resilience against one another as they had all previously in the qualifiers. Again, ESL, the finals, a lot riding on this tournament too.
Yep, so that's going to do it for game number 2, guys. The set is now tied up 1-1. We're guaranteed at least a game 4. We're going to head into a quick break screen while we get map number 3 ready, which will be played on Stone Keep. Don't go anywhere, and we'll see you in just a sec. Right back at it, Paladins fans. Game number 3 between D69 and WASD. It's going to be D69 on the left side of your spectator UI in the blue corner. Bugsy back on Grover with Deep Root. Sheepa with Aerial Assault. Ruckus. Gera with Mortal Reach. Saris, Elven Path with Battering Ram. Ash and Perdo on Darkstalker and Droxus.
And Modestina for WASD will be using Exaction Cassie. Comic will bring out the Shaolin with Recurve. Creatives on Accelerant Bomb King. Spunky once again back on the Maldamba with Ripe and Gordon. Unbelievable on the Architectonics turret. And again, we're seeing Eevee and Makoa are the 2 bans once again. 3 maps in a row for both these squads.
Very interesting. I mean, it's definitely contested, right? Sheepa can play it, Bugsy can play it, Creatives can play it, and Kamaker can play it. I think Spunky could even play some Eevee as well, so definitely highly contested. First blood, though, goes to Bugsy. Cross the map, back-to-back 1,000 damage axes from Grover.
That is not what you want, and that's the proper angle too. Bugsy just kind of peeking the corner, has an eye on where those vines are as well as around the corner if anyone decides to go straight to point, able to find himself big totals with those axes. And now Sheepa and Elven Path are holding down this left corridor respectively for them, while all the meantime Gera is sitting here with the Saris just right-clicking and stacking up the objective capture.
75% and climbing 33%. Gera doing a good job keeping everyone topped off. Sheepa sitting at about 50% HP right now. Pops the emitter, but the heal does go off on him. So he'll be safe for the time being. Unbelievable, all by himself on that solo Barrack. Takes back control of the point.
That's the power of Barrack, right? I mean, having the ability to put down those turrets for secure damage to Architectonics, but with that little blunderbuss buff that he got, hitting the 1 pellet, doing extra damage, he can put a lot down onto a frontliner by himself, and that's exactly what we're seeing happening. Creatives the whole while is sitting over here in the keep, putting out a lot of bombs and just kind of keeping everyone zoned away. And now WASD has come back completely and flipped the table on D69, stalling him at 93%. They are looking to expire this overtime and go up once again, 1-0.
And after that point fight, it's going to be Creatives on the Bomb King, Kamaker on Shaolin out in front of the damage, and after that, it's Bugsy on Grover, leading District 69 entirely on the damage chart. So a little bit of a struggle right now for Perdo to find his way to the back line. A little bit of a struggle right now for Sheepa and Elven to actually get some damage done. And it's pretty wise, right? Because a lot of times, you know, when you see high damage on characters like Ruckus or Anara or even Makoa, it's just because they're punching each other in the face on the point. But that solo frontliner, unbelievable, wasn't really sitting on the point that whole time. He wasn't giving up free damage. He was helping his team win that fight around the objective and then going there.
Very early what the now Gangstars roster used to do on maps like Serpent Beach back when they were Burrito, they would actually avoid the payload completely and just find the kills they need and then come back. Exactly the case reprised here for WASD as they're now actually starting to penetrate through and into the base of D69. Modestina's in a little bit of trouble though, is up top on the flank. Creative's coming to the aid as Perdo is trying to chase down Cassie. He will find it, reverse to keep him safe for a short amount of time, but Creatives will capitalize and trade him out.
Keeping the heals up on Sheepa right now. Minute 20 remains in the round. Planted will come out, but Bugsy's still able to beat out Kamaker in that toe-to-toe battle. Now, on the back foot a little bit, WASD, 4 ultimates to their name. Everything except Scout, the King Bomb, the Dread Serpent, the Heat Haze, and the Dome Shield, all at the ready. Pretty much the same story with D69 as Elven Path does get the Assert Dominance topped off as he's poking out with Unbelievable.
The big thing again goes down to what will this Grover bring to the healing table. I mean, especially with that Whirlwind, he needs to find a way to make sure his team is centralized and completely around another to get themselves all topped off. Of course, Saris does a good job solo healing, but that's going to be the big Grover's job to get everyone team healed. As you can see now, D69 is pulling up as the call comes out. They do get everyone fully healthy. Really good call.
They give out the Dread Serpent high, long-distance precision detonation, and it does hit a lot of members from D69, but out of follow-up range in my mind. They didn't get any kills off the back of it. Now it's 2-for-0 in favor of D69. Sheepa's surging forward onto Kamaker. He's likely to get this kill on the Shaolin, and he will.
Yeah, and this ult just comes off the fact that D69 just had bigger health pools thanks to the Whirlwind. Only 1 ultimate, they just won the health pool battle in that aspect. And again, now tailing below 5 seconds. WASD might have to make 1 more push. Unbelievable is up here, and he could make a play at it, and he will, but he is rooted. Bugsy getting right into his face, but of course the damage is so much lower there. Sheepa will come and aid in that department and eliminate him through. Creatives trying to make a go of it with a Grumpy Bomb, but it will find nobody, and he will fall just behind that as well.
3-for-1, 4-for-1 trade here for D69. They hold the defense. Spunky goes down in the back line. as well. Net worth chart is pretty close to being even. Bugsy sitting at 1,400 credits, which is less than 100 behind. The lowest on D69 is going to be Elven Path and Perdo sitting at about 1128 and 1150 almost. And that's still not too far behind, only about 300 credits. And that's as a result, of course, of the payload going the way of WASD.
Of course, a little bit of extra itemization, though, does kind of favor little extra level 1s on some of these defensive items for WASD. But the fact of the matter, in the big stat line that you want to look at is where are the cauterizes at? And everybody that has one has it at level 2, with the exception of Perdo, who has gone into that Haven and is sitting just at level 1 of that.
So 1-to-1, all side up here. 4 ultimates for D69, 4 ultimates for WASD, both trading out a support ult for a support ult. Scout comes out from Mudastina, so D69 are going to be given the vision over the way of WASD, but we'll have to see if that impacts the fight or if it even matters.
Oh, Perdo's got an opportunity here. He does actually get pushed out thanks to Creatives had a good focus to turn around. It was very dangerous as a lot of players from WASD. The Accursed Arm could have tallied it all away. Sheepa's going right into the Accursed Arm as well. Hexafire with the combination, but Dome Shield is here, Nick.
Doesn't get much done with the Accursed Arm. Holding it down up on the high ground right now. It's a brawl, ladies and gentlemen, in the Cathedral right now. Trading out. Kill for kill. Mudastina, though, starting to get some momentum. He pulls away with the triple kill. Mudastina with a quadra kill. Too much momentum. You cannot shut this man down.
And just showing continually what this cast can bring to the table. If you can hit these shots after dodge roll, which Mudastina does, it's so much extra bonus damage, and it completely allows her to be just a complete absolute flank while that's all happening. And able to find 4 kills, absolutely huge. It's Dominus now coming in at 90%, stalling out for WASD. Elven Path is saying, enough of this. Let's get my team back on top.
He asserts his dominance. Grumpy Bomb forces him away, though. Shoulder charge in 1 second. He pops it for the CC immunity and the damage reduction. Nice response from Elven Path. Immediately shuts down Creatives.
This is a really good play for D69. Garazo for free on the left-hand side in this keep. Perdo's here as well, looking for frags. Now Gara's actually on the flank and will help out with 3 of those kills. Only 1 going the tally of the Ceres itself. But regardless, all of that play from Elven Path to get that point right back into their favor has converted them now to a lead at 2-1.
Very clutch stuff coming out from him. Poking around this corner at Kamikaze, just trying to keep him as low as possible. Ash doesn't do a whole lot of damage now unless you are able to direct impact your shots. Of course, she was given a lot more range with which to do that. Elven Path definitely has the accuracy to land these shots. And now ahead in the net worth is both Ruckus, played by Sheepa, and Grover, played by Bugsy.
Yeah, and that's the big shock, is where this damage is coming from. And now the fact that Shaolin is actually getting himself back onto the totals is really good. No matter how mobile this team is of D69, and now more kills. Speaking of mobile, coming out of the flank as Bugsy and Sheepa find 2. This is not looking good as Creatives is out by himself and completely sectioned away from the rest of his team and the payload. And Perdo knows it will chase him down and find the kill.
The Do just too strong. Creatives rotated over to try and clean up Perdo, but he rotated beautifully. Stayed alive, got the heal, and then went through, got the kill, and it's looking like conversion now for D69.
Oh my gosh, very fluid. Almost a kind of a shock. I'm a little bit surprised. Usually that last bit of the payload push is a lot more contested than that. But again, that flank that was pulled by both Sheepa and Bugsy was able to get that opening they needed. Perdo coming in, cleaning up a couple, and Gara the whole time was just sitting back for free and taking care of the deployables, while at the same point able to get his team fully healed.
I mean, I understood at the start of this game why Bugsy was able to have top damage. He got a couple of big 1,000 damage axes right off the bat. It was only about 10,000 after the point. But Bugsy is still at the top of his team in terms of damage, almost on top of the game. He's sitting at 46,000, which is 10,000 above the next closest D69 member in Perdo's and Droxus.
That's nutty. I mean, that's absolutely massive to see what one change to a character has allowed him to do, and looking to continue to find those long distance axes once again. It is WASD trying to take this keep side of things. The Accursed Arm will find nothing, but Astita's shutting it down midair. Bugsy's trying to desperately help out his team, who's falling low and is in panic for the retreat. Elven Path and Sheepa falling low. Creatives is out for blood, but the Whirlwind very well timed out as cauterizes fade away from a couple of the big characters that needed to stay alive. Bugsy sustains his team at still having all 4 characters alive.
Elven Path assert dominance once again on the point, flushing out everyone from WASD. Grumpy Bomb comes on the high ground here. Sheepa might get stunned out by it. He will. It's not going to take too much punishment for it. It will be, in fact, Gara that does fall.
Yeah, but WASD does have control of the point, and the turrets are being set up. Kabak with the double kill, trying to move his way back through into this keep side. Bugsy's stunned out on top, but will be able to blossom himself and is now probably looking for a vine out. Mudastina might indeed force that. Ooh, a nice stun from Spunky, though. The reload mechanic from Maldamba to shut down Bugsy. Now Elvin Path, who was trying to get back to his support, will be in a dangerous position, overextended and dealt with correctly as WASD finds themselves the payload, now just down 1 point.
Now, Conversion did, unfortunately, whiff in that fight. Garo went for a very ambitious one up and over the rafters on the Cathedral, but wasn't able to pull it off. And whiffing on ultimates, especially against top-tier teams like I think we can now consider WASD to be, it's always going to give them a really, really good, strong advantage, especially in just this wild, wild west type of meta we're seeing right now with this brand new patch.
Yeah, and you can actually tell just based on how fast the characters are moving and how uncoordinated they are respectively to how they were before. It just really is a frag fest right now, and whoever can get the big kills will end up on top. And right now, WASD is showing just that, as the barricade blocks off all damage incoming right into the payload as it breaks through the base. WASD, with less than a quarter of the way to go on this payload push, continues to move it forward, while D69 is trying to struggle to get back from the respawns.
Garrett gets his convergence all topped off as a big clumping from WASD right now. Just a matter of not popping these ults when your team is outside of follow-up range. Perdo needs some healing. Sheepa actually steals that lifeline away. So another cooldown has to come through for Perdo. Elvin Pass now in a bad spot, and like we saw last round, we saw a really nice Dread Serpent, but it was just out of follow-up range.
Yeah, and this is the big danger when it comes to follow-up range. You mentioned it. You have to have the damage there if you're going to try to pull something like that. Sheepa, who's getting aggressive now, will push right into the face of WASD. Will find two. Perdo and Bugsy follow up very nicely for another two. And Mudastina, who gets rooted into place, will finish off that team wipe as D69's defense sustains.
And the way that D69 communicates, I wonder if this type of meta favors them, because they are simply calling out names of champions, names of players, who's low, where they are, who they want to frag. And beyond that, it's pretty simple in terms of their playstyle.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And of course, you've seen that coordination just get better and better from week to week, month to month, LAN event to LAN event. Having the Masters Championship under their belt, looking to continue their reign into Valencia, but they have to get past ESL June 1st, and WASD at the hands of Mudastina and the crew are putting a lot of pressure in, as now you can see the disengage shot pulled onto Sheepa and looking for the kill. The Dread Serpent coming out as well. Will the repulsor field be enough? Emitter might, in fact, Elvin Path in some trouble, but Mudastina continues to put some damage and open the door for his team.
Gara's actually putting a lot of work into this backline, but Creatives from downtown snipes him with one last bomb. Assert dominance onto the payload. Elvin Path trying to stay alive, but it gets pushed off.
And that will be Creatives converting it after the poppy bomb to push. He will follow up with the sticky bomb. Bugsy with a double kill, though, does catch a repulsor field from his teammate in the ruckus, and with Sheepa cleaning up one. Perdo the last. It will be another successful defense, but that gap of 2 points has only been reduced now just to the single one.
That looks so clean for WASD. Where did it all go so wrong? And fighting D69, at least from my perspective, it looks like it can be very frustrating in terms of one little thing goes wrong, or sometimes it doesn't look like anything goes wrong. All of a sudden, the gas pedal just gets slammed and they just roll over your team 4-0 or more.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes in the fact that there is just the solo frontline of Barrick, who does take a while to get set up. And when you're in crunch time like that, where you have to rush yourself to get out of the payload, he does not do as well as characters like an Ashe or a Ruckus do as far as aerial denial and just the ability to penetrate a force.
Perdo notably switching up his cosmetic for his revolver now into the Cosmic Mastery, moving away from the nerf. That's definitely noteworthy here heading into Valencia.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Mudastina will get rooted, and Elvin Path, who's on a very aggressive flank with Perdo here, but Mudastina able to capitalize, and the Dome Shield, meanwhile, will actually keep this point in favor of WASD, as the totals are now 5-on-4. Sheepa will pull out with the Hexafire, but the conversions will only find one. Unbelievable, actually trade him away. Gara with one, but will be pushed right back into the Shadow Travel, and Creatives and Mudastina are here, and the damage dealers are on one side or the other, and that crossfire is so dangerous.
WASD still with the comeback mechanic, enable the arc, closing this gap so quickly. Gara's going to be forced to Shadow Travel on here. In fact, this Bugsy, he had to get it there and bind just to get this overtime started.
Yeah, and this is really good as Shaolin is put up into a nice spot. Will be dropping damage down from that church side and looking to finish off possibly now changing his focus to Garrett, but missing his Comic on a number of shots, and the accursed arm will actually open the door as Spunky falls. That's a big support down, but Modestina gets rooted into place by Grover. Bugsy again in the backline for free is just tossing out these axes left and right and continue to put the pressure down. But again, all the meanwhile, where's the front line? It's unbelievable setup for free.
Just getting a little bit too chunked right now. A little trickling going on, and so much crowd control on the point for WASD. Dread Serpent hits 3, Grumpy Bomb hits 2. D69 are locked down and have nowhere to go.
And that's 3-3 for WASD. 2 straight payload points for them. Creatives with a double kill. Getting aggressive with that accelerant, knowing he's got Modestina with him, feels comfortable to burst down anybody who comes into their face, and they do it not just once, but twice. And now looking to get this payload continuing moving for free, as there's no one defensively really to contest at the moment.
2 minutes remain. Poke. D69 actually willing to give up a lot of ground on this payload push here. They're all sitting back in their base, and this is basically where they held the entirety of the previous round, so not wanting to risk giving up any momentum, which I think is pretty smart, but at the same time, they are giving up a lot of ground.
Absolutely, and now Elvenpath actually in a lot of trouble. He had 3 members from WASD trying to surround him, but is able to use that shoulder bash to get away and get back towards his other frontliner of Sheepa, who's now pushing forward. They're able to find Spunky. Unbelievable, falling very low as well. Sheepa is right here, but it's actually coming back to it is Modestina, who's cleaning up a couple. Not able to find the big ones that matter, though, as a 1v1 is taking place right in front of the fountain between Elvenpath and Modestina. The shoulder bash confirming the last little bit of damage with the little spray for flare.
800 damage is definitely nothing to snuff at. It really hurts when you take those shoulder bashes. Peridot locked in an epic 1v1 with Spunky's Maldamba, but Spunky gonna have to bail out as Peridot receives some healing from Gara. Now we're seeing the aggression come out from D69. Yeah. They are surging forward all the way into the mid ground of this map.
And they have the health pools in their favor. They're tracking down a number of characters who are low. And it's a full team by Peridot. Finds himself a triple kill, just shooting, nether stepping, and closing in on all of those low, squishy targets. Finds himself 3 in that exchange.
That's what I'm saying, though, man. It's like Spunky got low. They didn't really even get any kills yet. And all of a sudden, D69 just wiped them. Don't even use any ultimates, just raw 5 for nothing.
I think that's the difference, right? When you look at teams of WASD, of course, being that 3rd team from EU at the Masters and falling short here in the qualifiers, and how these top 2 teams from both Europe, and really you can extend the conversation to North America. What separates them from those 3 and 4 teams? And I think it's the sheer power just to frag without ultimates.
Yeah, just knowing when that time is right as well. Recognizing those opportunities is definitely difficult to do. King Bomb struggling. Creatives couldn't even get off the high ground. He ran into the railing for the full duration of King Bomb. Is this substituted by Lazy right now?
Very well could be. Unbelievable. We'll try to keep things alive for WASD, though. There's still 4 players. The Lead Dome Shields will keep people alive with the Gord underneath. Elvenpath falling low, but the Whirlwind coming out in prime moment. The shoulder bash to knock away Modestina. But still, here comes Creatives back looking for redemption. We'll be trying to track down Bugsy, who will fall to Modestina. WASD looking strong, but now Spunky falls down, and it's just unbelievable. Trying to keep things in the front line is the only big health pool here. Creatives trying to find frags, but the respawn proximity is just too close for D69, and the stagger looks to be very real as they bait out Unbelievable, and now still staying at 3-3 is the score.
I think the same thing happened this round as did last round that you actually mentioned. Just having more tanks on their side. D69 are better in that staggered environment. Their characters are able to buy more time inherently with guys like a Ruckus, a Grover. Hell, even a Saris buys a good amount of time despite the nerfs to her shadow travel. And WASD have the opposite of that. They don't have the staying power. What they do have is the long-range safe poke damage that's been winning them the last 2 payloads, and frankly, that's what they're going to need to win this game.
Yeah, that's the one that matters. And I was just about to say, they only have the 1 frontliner, the 1 support, as compared to double frontliners and double support. But at the end game, when you have cauterizers fully at level 3, it doesn't really matter how many healers you have. The sheer fact is they have the Cassie, Shaolin, and Bomb King, who can all win that poke battle, as you mentioned. And that's when it comes to count. And these more open areas on the payload, if they can find the right kills, they can very well find themselves in control again.
Suicide convergence from Gara's gonna pull in a lot. 2 kills, 3 kills come off the back of it. Unbelievable's in some trouble now. It looks like Gara's life was given for a good cause here because D69 are taking this fight with authority.
And on the flip side, ultimate-wise for WASD, they don't really have anything to work with because so many were used in that push that last half of the round. 60% for D69, and this is where they can get a little more aggressive. They can zone out a little bit further than when they were in their defense, and Sheepa is happy to do just that.
Yes, 87% on the point right now. D69 are going to have to fight the overtime for this. Gara gets into the shadow travel, avoids the Dread Serpent, 2 for 1 right now. D69 still in the lead. Sheepa barely alive. Elven Path with the assert dominance is buying up plenty of time on the objective, but Sheepa still needs help. He's going to get it. 3 for 0. Overtime starts again, and that could be it for D69.
It looks like it very well will be. Elven Path with the clutch plays at the end to assert dominance and push everybody away. And Grover raising the roof for that 2-1 now map lead for D69.
He holds a 2v1 for, what is that, 8 seconds with assert
while,
dominance.
yeah.
Beautiful stuff there. Clutch staying power from Elven Path, who's sitting at 103,000 damage. Manages to catch up to Bugsy, have almost one of the highest damage totals in the game, beating out both Sheepa's Ruckus and Parados and Droxus.
How about the 142K, though, from the boy on Bomb King Creatives?
Shout out.
Massive number for Bomb King. It's tough to get that much damage done as the king of the
hurts.
lords of bombs.
It definitely is tough. He had a lot of big targets to shoot, a lot of work cut out for him. I imagine most of that was probably put into Sheepa, probably the easiest tank to hit of that lineup when he's kind of spun up, very slow moving, which also probably leads, because Sheepa's not a bad Ruckus by any means, but 73,000 damage. He's 30,000 below Ashe, and Ashe definitely does not have the sheet DPS that Ruckus does. So what this tells me is Sheepa's probably just under a lot of pressure from this Bomb King for the majority of the game.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, we saw a couple instances of that where he's using all 3 charges of aerial assault just to try to stay alive and find himself back to Bugsy or in range of Gara. And that's a big trouble. But regardless, I mean, WSD is right there. I mean, they're looking real solid throughout all of this. Yeah. And this is a really big matchup. And again, it just goes to show how close the top 4 teams are in Europe right now.
And the top play for me personally is the suicide convergence there from Gara. He tried to get that exact convergence in one of the previous rounds, but he did it from downtown, keeping himself safe. And like I mentioned, it landed actually on that top platform of the rafters and didn't make it all the way over. This time he says, no more. I think this is totally worth it. Goes in, drops, gets the huge ult. D69, they just get so much positioning, so much free team fight, so much free capture point from that one Valiant sacrifice.
Without a doubt. And moving forward, it will be possibly what could be a last map. Again, 2-1 is the map score. And Ice Mines, very untraditional map we see in competitive, especially in Europe, will be coming to the forefront. And Nick, this is a map where I feel like if you're able to frag without ultimates, especially on that payload path, you very well could find yourself 2 straight points, which is oh so rare here on this Glacial Keep.
We'll have to see. It's been a long time, but who knows what could happen with all these new champions coming into the fray, guys. We're going to go back to that quick break screen as we get Ice Mines all ready to go for you and perhaps settling the series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, Paladins fans, here we go. This could potentially be it. T69, WASD. T69 leading 2-1. My name, of course, is Hires Pretty Hair, back at you maybe for the last time today. I Hold Shift is casting alongside me. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you guys to Bugsy back on Grover. He is feeling it today, ladies and gents. Deep Roots is his legendary selection. Mother's Grace for Sheep Zanara. Focusing Lens for Gara's Ying. Architectonics for Elven Path's Barrack. Exaction Cassie for Perdo's Cassie.
This is a complete run back of the lineup for from game number 1, which was obviously so successful for D69. But for WASD, it will be Modestina on the Wormjets, Drogos, Comiker playing Battering Ram, Ash, Creatives playing with the Aerial Assault on Ruckus, Spunky, Meldaba once again with Ripen Gordon. Unbelievable, continuing to play some pip action with the Catalyst.
Flashing here on the middle of the ground here on the point. Sheep is the first one here. He's going to throw up the wall instead of the Earthen Guard to keep himself alive and keep WASD out of this point for the time being. Now comes through the Earthen Guard. He's already captured 40% on this point. Creatives, though, gets the first blood for WASD.
Oh, and Comiker, all the meanwhile, was going right through that ski lodge and pushing into the back line and causing so much distraction, and then just simply uses the shoulder bash to get away. Really good zoning to keep the damage away while WASD, the frontliners, get themselves set up. And interestingly enough, it's actually noteworthy to say that Modestina has picked up Bulldozer here. We talked about earlier how hard it is to do these double deployables, and WASD is realizing that and making adjustments in their itemization.
D69 struggling to fight their way onto the point. Elven Path just barely gets in there with the Barrack. Drops a turret, but he's already low HP, taking a lot of heat from Spunky. Modestina's going to get the kill. 2 for 2 so far for D69 in their favor, 93%. WASD could snag this payload if no one's careful or no one's watching, and he does. Kamiko sneaks it away.
And that's the power of Ash, able to just keep putting the CC in by just disrupting, throwing out those runic blasts, using the shoulder bash, any way to keep people off the point. And that's just not good focus from D69, although they do have themselves some positioning advantage. The big total is simply the fact that that extra 300 credits in the bank right now for WASD will help them to get right back in, hopefully go 2-0 in their binds.
Looking for maybe a wall here. Sheepa cuts off the reinforcement. Creatives is all alone and isolated. Dragon Punch comes through. It's not actually going to land. It hit a Ying clone, and Perdo was able to clean that one up. So beautiful 2 for nothing, as well as getting the Dragon Punch. Modestina will not return that 30% charge, will not collect $200 when he passes go. He has to be sent back, and he has to recharge that ultimate from 0.
I wouldn't know if I would call that exactly go to jail, but it's something close, like probably picking up one of those early properties. But regardless, this is the is unbelievable. Is actually up in these windows for free and just throwing down a lot of those potion lobs right on top of the payload or into that little lodge area. And now the rest of WASD starting to push forward as Unbelievable does fall to Elven Path. The fact of the matter is there's still 2 frontliners and a healer left alive for WASD, and now the payload finally getting out of the center part of the map will torch around that first corner up into that open area.
So an interesting thing I just saw actually was a really good Warder's Field dropped by Sheep, but a slow down 3 members of WASD, but the Bulldozer from Modestina just destroyed it so quickly that they were all able to continue the chase and actually confirm that kill onto Sheepa. Dread Serpent was expended right there to grab 1 pick just to keep momentum high, and I think that's worth it because it is very difficult, like we just saw, to get that momentum on Icebind. So once you get it, you don't want to let it go.
Oh, absolutely, and that's exactly the mindset WASD wants. They still have this trifecta of a front line with Creatives, Comiker, and was Spunky up until just a short moment ago. And with that kill, you start to delude away from having that double front line and support, and things start to go very nicely. Of course, you can also not let Barrack set up top on this little platform where he was able to get both turrets and just kind of rain down the blunderbuss pellets from right on top of WASD.
Turret's taking a lot of damage right now. Elven Path trying to get set up, but he's just dropping turrets kind of out in the middle of the payload pass field. With 1 Fire Spit salvo, a lot of damage gets put in from Modestina, destroys a couple of turrets, and now WASD trying to get back to the payload, but they just can't, Alan. They just can't.
They just can't do it. It's tough. And this is why Ice Mines is one of the toughest maps competitively for a lot of these teams, is the simple fact that that payload path is so long. And the fact of the matter is, if you want to get to where that payload just stopped right outside of where that fur lodge is, it takes a lot. You have to go across a lot of open area just to even touch it. Comiker gave it a go with Ash, but just not enough distance covered in time for him to trigger the overtime.
And if Ash can't get it with the shoulder bash, then I don't think anyone's going to be able to. The items look like they're about evened up. up in terms of offensive output. Perdo, instead of going into Rec or 2, has elected to go for Kronos just to keep his rollings that much smoother. And also it does help bail you out a little bit if you miss one. It still subtracts that half second off regardless. Master riding for Bugsy, and he transitioned into a cauterized 1. 2 cauterized 2 for D69, 3 cauterized 2s for WASD. We'll have to see if that makes a difference.
The other big thing is the fact that Bulldozer 1 seems to be enough, and now 2 for Alstina. Loose Nerve coming up. Hexafire is triggered, but absolutely shut down by D69. Modestina trying to even things back up, looking for a target. Will switch over to Gara very quickly in that Dragon Punch and then zoom his way right back out thanks to the extra mobility from Wormjets. But Perdo, once again, with that extra hit scan ability thrown into the projectile. Oh my gosh, this is so dangerous. The Dome Shield, the Whirlwind, everything being used for D69.
Whirlwind keeps alive that little baby chicken the whole time. Only 1,500 HP, but they couldn't bring it down. Well timed. I don't know if Bugsy heard the cue, but I think it was a little bit preemptive and nicely done as well, because that ultimate has a little bit of a wind-up time, and so he gets the CC immunity, keeps himself alive, as well as one of his teammates. Modestina was very careful not to hit a Ying clone that time around with his Dragon Punch, and as a result, he's already back to 56% on his ultimate.
Thank you, morale boost 2, which is such a good pickup against the Inara. But again, Ice Mines being the 6th man here just continues to be a tough cookie to break for either team as far as getting back to the center part of the map. WASD with Modestina picking up 2 will get themselves an advantage in numbers and push that advantage. Again, understanding that the next big choke point is just outside of these doors if they can get there.
Really, really nice wall from Sheepa. Keeps himself and Perdo safe, not allowing that stagger to come through from WASD. It's so difficult to get this momentum, and you can see even for D69 it is tough. They are struggling to break through this choke point right now against WASD.
Modestina will continue to make that more difficult as he finds another Dragon Punch, this time connecting onto the barrack. And again, WASD with that numbers advantage will jump right in, but this is dangerous. Perdo and Gara are at the windows, and now Perdo in the backline is looking for some more shots to keep triggering this exaction build. He finds one more kill on Creatives. Comiker now is out by himself, and D69 has their fangs clenched around the jaws of Ash, but actually able to move right back there, but Gara finds himself that last kill. Thank you, Focusing Lens.
The deep roots was not quite enough for Comiker there. Now, the momentum back on D69's side. This is all they needed. Unfortunately, there's just over a minute remaining, so D69 might have time to wipe once, if at all.
Yeah, and the big thing, and you can see how they're setting up, is taking advantage of this little snowy plateau on the perspective right side for them. Creatives is there right now, but Inara is here. Will actually wall off the rest of the team. A root onto Creatives will force him right back out. Grover finding in for the heal and extra damage up top. And all the meanwhile, Barrack on the other side in that Furs Lodge is getting himself set up on the other side of the high ground, but Modestina will take care of that threat very quickly with a nice little fire spit.
Oh, Spunky gets isolated by Perdo, takes him down. Modestina finds the only answer in that team fight. He gets back to spawn, okay, so he's going to be able to get back to full HP here. Unbelievable's respawning. Creatives has come through on the ruckus as well. No, but Bugsy shuts down Unbelievable as he tries to creep his way back into the spawn door, so that's a big pickup.
Both sides of the crash to respond to this late surge from WAC just to hold on. Dread Serpent as well coming out. A lot of these defensive ultimates have to come out if they want to have a chance at keeping this away. D69 is here, and they are fragging Perdoa to Gara with another. They have the numbers. They find Unbelievable. It's just Comiker trying to stay alive. And will he? Oh, the shoulder bash just enough to get him back. Creatives now will take the baton and try to hold it down, but I don't think it's going to be enough, Nick.
Just camping. There's not enough staying power in the realm to be able to survive that onslaught. 10 streak for Bugsy, 8 streak for Sheepuff and Gara, 19 streak for Perdo. They are having difficulty locking him down. Going to be a struggle as they continue to surge forward with a lot of momentum on their side. Plenty of credits to spend. Caught 3 for Bugsy, caught 3 for Sheepa, caught 3 for Elven Path. Resilience for Gara as well, so he can stay out of trouble. Perdo yet to spend his credits. And WASD, only 1 cauterized 3, but it is on Comiker, and Ash is pretty effective at spreading around that debuff.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, especially if you are finding multiple targets somewhat grouped up, and especially you mimic that with Creatives, who has that cauterized too, who can very easily spread around that cauterized. The big thing here is it's an uphill battle for WASD. They're down the 2 points, and these payload capture point fights have really not been going all much their way as of, as we go. And Inara actually with the morale, or pardon me, the master riding will jump up into front. Will actually wall off Modestina, but just barely scaling that obstacle and coming back around. He will will find the Dragon Punch kill.
Peridot continuing to roll around. Godlike killing streak for him. 13-20 streak in terms of his assist that he's able to get. Nice shot on Unbelievable. Cleans him up as well. Double kill, triple kill for Peridot. Annihilation as he rolls forward. And now 36% on the point. This is looking good to close out this set for D69.
Well, on the flip side, you look at the very backside of this fight, there's a 1v1 happening right now between Comiker and Shiba, and if they can take this Ashe down, that's a big obstacle to kind of overcome, and they will. Comiker's not going to be here for what could potentially be the last team fight. Illusionary Rift is used. Whirlwind could be used if necessary. Dome Shield is also here. What can WAS do without Ashe? The answer is nothing, as D69 takes this one away and moves on to the finals.
A resounding nothing at that. So they are going to move on. As they know so well, the finals is where they like to call home. Peridot leading the charge in that game. 75,000 damage, even over Modestina's Drogos, which is really impressive to see given the clumpy nature of this D69 composition. 18-4, 22 streak for him. It just wasn't the right answer for this Cassie. No lockdown, not even really from Unbelievable. I mean, you would think the slow would be good between Ripe and Gourd and Catalyst, but it's just not enough to slow down the rolling of Peridot.
No, and there's a lot of things that just, I would say, just barely went wrong for WASD. But again, we get back to the potential of having a star power player and to impact an entire swing of a game. That is the definition of what Peridot just did. And again, it just kind of goes to exemplify the gap that is between these two teams, is that throughout all these games, really, we didn't really see anybody from WASD outside of Modestina in that game where they won really come to light and really kind of push their team in the right direction. Peridot had a monster game this game. Bugsy had a monster game with the Grover on Stone Keep. I mean, Elven Path continues to be a threat up front. It's just all 5 of these players have been around each other for so long. I mean, it's really hard to break apart this big, solid lineup for D69.
So that's going to be it for this set, guys. D69 move on to the finals. For the Go4 June finals, let's head on over to the brackets, take a look at where things are ending up on our lower side, check in with our friends Gangstars and Flashpoint, see where they ended up. And it was, in fact, the 3-0 for Gangstars, and they will move on as well. I mean, did you expect Flashpoint to be able to take a game given all the chaos happening in the meta right now?
I mean, it's one of those things that anyone's guess could be right at this point in time, especially with how fresh this patch is with a lot of these teams. And Gangstars, again, is a team that has been just absolutely unstoppable over the course of not just June, but even if you go back into most of May. They haven't lost a game in a very long period of time, with the exception of having some maps traded between them and D69. Flashpoint, who's had some success in ESL, unable to break through the top 2 here, even regardless of their performance in this last week of the high-risk qualifiers. They looked resilient, but quite not at the level of Gangstars at the moment.
So that's going to be that finals and what we're so used to seeing, District 69 versus the Gangstars. The bronze match also between WASD and Flashpoint. That's worth noting. That has been a very close set and one I'd be interested to see the outcome of all. But guys, we got a lot of new stuff coming into the realm this patch. In particular, one of the high value assets you can attain is the Realm Pack. It's going to include the Frostmare mount, which is the big bad thing that you want the most from this chest. I know I'm going to be loving rocking this. This matches up well with a lot of the Mastery skins. It's a very, very cool combination. Booster alongside comes with this Realm Pack. 7 days you will receive for this $5.99 or $4.99 pack, excuse me, just $5. In addition to that, you're going to get 10 Radiant chests and 2 Flare chests. So all kinds of stuff that could potentially come alongside all of that cool mount. And the booster as well. The booster is going to synergize pretty well with this because the 10 Radiant chests, that gives you a 4th item unlocked when you open your 10 Radiant chests, guys. So like we mentioned, a lot of new stuff coming into the realm in this OB53 patch. We're going to go ahead and throw you guys over to the patch preview VOD. In case you missed it, you can catch back up and see all that new stuff coming in.
Paladins fans, welcome to the OB53 patch overview. We've got several new skins, bug fixes, and features this patch, so let's jump right into it. We're introducing the Realm Pack for only $4.99. The Realm Pack includes the Frostmare mount, a 7-day booster, 10 Radiant chests, and 2 Flare chests. That's a $40 value in total, so it's a pretty great deal. Make sure to grab it when OB53 drops. Fly the skies with Androx's new Steam Demon skin. This steampunk-inspired skin features valves, chambers, actuators, and a bunch of other things you probably shouldn't ask him about. You can pick up this collection in the champion skin and weapon chests. Lex and Cassie get some sizzling summer skins this patch. Cassie's ready to hit the beach in her new Sun-Kissed skin, complete with a tropical Ziggs and Cali Girl voice pack. These skins are available in the summer chest, along with patriotic weapons, American-themed weapons for Ashe, Lex, Maeve, and Victor. When OB53 releases, players will receive a one-time quest that grants a free chest roll of the new summer chest. Win a single game of Onslaught to collect your prize. 3 champions will be getting new Mastery cosmetics, Buck, Androxus, and Willow. These champions will have new Obsidian and Cosmic skins, Mastery emotes, MVPs, and sprays. Players now have the ability to delete loadouts from the loadout screen. You can also delete loadouts from the edit screen by clearing out a deck and then clicking save. We addressed a lot of bugs in this patch. For the full list, including balance changes, head over to paladins.com. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the realm.
Laying in your bed, fighting ghosts in my head. Wish that I could let you go. Remember all we had. How could we get this bad? Where did we lose our glow? You live, you learn. When your heart is set to burn, fading away until the light will return. Someone bring me back to the time when our hearts unite. Bring me back to the time when our hearts unite. Laying in your bed, fighting ghosts in my head. Wish that I could let you go. Remember all we had. How could we get this bad? Where did we lose our glow? You live, you learn. When your heart is set to burn, fading away until the light will return. Someone bring me back to the time when our hearts unite. Bring me back to the time when our hearts unite.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to map number 1 of the grand finals between District 69 and Gangstars, the top 2 from EU, both securing spots. You'll see him in Valencia, but before, why don't we go ahead and test the waters here? Of course, on my own, I hold shift down free, and with me is High-Res Fox, looking through the rosters for D69. Bugsy will be using the Reprieve on Eevee Sheepa, with Aerial Assault Ruckus Gera using Mortal Reach on Saris Elven Path, switching to Inara with Mother's Grace, and Perdo will be using Exaction Cassie.
That was scary last time. Of course, it's Bird, Bonka, Theo, Lazy, and Dialer this time subbing in, running the Rifle God, Maldamba, Barak, and we'll come to the rest of the Legendaries in just a second. We don't want to miss any of the initial action. Straight to the back line was Theo playing Ashe, but gets disrupted very quickly. Eevee soaring around, high ground control held by this double turret set up on Barak so far, and Bonka does pick up first blood. Architectonics doing a lot of work here so far for them. Bombs being thrown out by Gangstars as well. Got to be careful of all that damage, and Perdo all the while just unable to be quite as effective on this Exaction Cassie as he was in that last game on Ice Mines by a long shot here, Shift.
Well, and I think a lot of it is just due to the simple fact that Lazy's over here perspectively on the right near that boardwalk doing a lot of damage on one side, and Dialer is just kind of dodging in and out of the frontliners of D69, trying to put pressure down on Perdo, and you can see Dialer actually is the one who finds the kill onto Perdo. The payload point is not being contested whatsoever as Dialer finds himself a second. And looking for more kills as Sheepa is the next one in line. Dialer with possibly the last, but Bonker will find that kill. Elven Path is now by himself. If they can take down this Inara, that'd be big for him. Lazy will confirm that kill, and now looking to zone is the rest of Gangstars up to above 70% of the capture point.
It's such an even game so far though, Shift. Up until that point when Gangstars started to take a bit of an angle and just started to roll with it, it was very much in favor. Oh my goodness, and Bugsy does manage to take out Dialer there. It was very much a 50-50 game, but right at the end there, just the stagger coming through from Gangstars, a little bit too much for everybody in District 69 to deal with. Just was saying that Elven contest for a second, but now the ultimate's coming online. Here's a King Bomb, that's going to shut down Perdo immediately. Lazy finds 2, overtime is ticking, and even Bugsy on Reprieve Eevee probably doesn't want to contest this payload.
Oh, we'll give it a go, though. We'll blink in, but just not there in time. Immediately soaring right back out and actually finds himself right in front of Thiel, who does drop thanks to Gera using those soul orbs to connect with that faster hit scan speed. And of course, Dialer subbing in. He will be the 5th man as Sun Commander is not able to participate in Valencia. This Gangstar squad giving him as much work as possible against their formidable foe before they reach Spain.
And Dialer doing a really good job on this Androxus so far, controlling space, but also getting picks where they matter. Now turns their attention to Perdo, is running Darkstalker, but goes straight to the backline, drops all 4 shots of a Cursed Arm onto an Earthen Guard Elven Path, so he only takes half damage, but that distraction is enough for Lazy to go and lope up some kills. I like Elven Path's Angler just stalling out here. He's actually going to get some out-of-combat regen going, and back to Earthen Guard. May just survive if Saris can come to the rescue in enough time, but oh, nice stun from Maldamba. That'll shut him down, and Dial up to the high ground again, looking to zone here.
Yeah, and the really good play from Lazy to get aggressive when he knew that there were a couple of low health pools around him and he had his team support with. You can see him doing once again right in front of the spawn, trying to find a way to zone out and looking to kind of box, at least marginally with Bugsy, kind of feeling each other out to see how that blaster damage battle may go as this continues to go through. Seismic Crash will completely whiff. Elven Path throws it right in front of the payload and everyone just moved right away. On the flip side, Bonker sets up a dome shield, but it will fall very quickly. Lazy, though, is savage, able to find more kills in the back end. Bird is coming forward to try to help out Thiel, but too low is Ashe to stay alive. Sheepa, though, in a lot of trouble, will get stunned out. And now Lazy looking to secure another one. This dynamic duo of Bird and Lazy is going ham on the point, but now the respawns are coming in, Fox.
The problem is it's Perdo who's just respawned on Exaction Cassie, hypermobile, but they bought enough time, the dynamic duo, as you said, for Bonka to get back here on Barak, and now they're getting established. Out comes Dialer on Androxus as well, trying to find the flick shot onto Perdo, who does escape back into their base, and actually may have wasted a little bit of valuable time there when they really should have been contesting, but big reversal doesn't find the damage. Perdo gets one. Can they find a second? Damage towards Thiel, damage towards Bonka, down will go Barak, and that should buy enough time, but 20 seconds remaining. Gangstars could stall this one out in overtime if they commit in the right order, and Thiel in the backline is being a constant distraction for the red team.
Oh, without a doubt. And on top of that, Lazy, again, trying to find that battle with Bugsy, actually kind of wins out the early part and puts Bugsy on the retreat. And now Lazy coming right back through. He will push the torch side while the rest of his team is right on top of the payload. A really big Grumpy Bomb plays, but here comes another King Bomb coming through. The Dread Serpent as well will connect with the Hexafire. Will keep Sheepa CC immune. Elven Path will come back through, though Gera able to find a convergence, but there's no damage follow-up. Both players falling low. Dialer has himself 3. Get in there, Dialer, able to find find himself the notoriety I think he well deserves as he helps secure the kills and get up now 2-0 on the scoreboard for Gangstars.
I'm just thinking of fragability right now, Shift. Let's look nowhere else than the damage charts. Disregard items. We already know that story by now. It's the finals of the ESL finals. You know how it goes. Cauterize 2's online across the board, but it's Lazy and Dialer leading the charge here, which are making the difference for their team. I'm wondering a little bit here. District 69, they've drafted the Ceres versus Gangstars Bird on Maldamba, however. Let's have a look at the healing charts, and that's really remarkably close at this stage of the game, Shift. Both supports making very good efficacy of their healing abilities around outside of the Cauterize that's been in play so far.
You bring up exactly the right point. This is actually a storyline that we've continued to see throughout the OB52 and through the qualifiers, where these two supports duking it out to see who can get the most healing and sustainability done for their team. And again, it just goes to show how close this matchup is. Very regularly, we'll see one team way surpass the other in the healing department. But even though it is 2-0 on the scoreboard, this healing statistic has been very close. That might change, though, now that there's the big credit advantage for Gangstars.
Right, absolutely. Gangstars could be surging ahead in Cauterize if they get some mid-round buys off. Got to be careful in the backline, though. Perdo does take out Lazy. That's a really big pick here, but Bonkar's going to try and answer back. But the Restore Soul from Ceres is too good, even with Bonkar sitting on top of the gourd. Constant just AoE Cauterize application from Blast Shot is enough to make sure that that healing isn't enough for Bonkar to survive. 2 down as Dialer falls as well. Ash barely able to escape with their life thanks to that battering ram legendary, and Lazy is here to try and turn things around, but District 69 have already captured unmitigated. Great zoning presence from the D69 team. Gangstars not quite so much of an easy cap as they had last time around.
Oh, not even a little bit. And again, it comes down to the simple fact that Perdo stayed alive for a very long period of time, of course, falling very late in that team fight. Lazy did not have the same opening he had before, neither did Dialer, but now you can see what happens when there is numbers in favor of Gangstars. They find themselves the turnaround here early off of this defense. Lazy literally using the sundial as a launching platform for that accelerate, will jump right into the back line, find himself 2 kills, and now in the middle of a reload will actually accelerate away. Oh, but
so
not
close.
enough as Gara finds himself the kill.
And all the while, Bonkar playing Barrack is playing what I like to... I'm not really sure how to describe this shift. They're playing what I like to call a wedge Barrack style, where they're going to go, okay, I'm going to ignore the team fight. I'm just going to go walk up to the middle of the enemy team, place myself securely between the front line and the back line, and just drive a wedge in this team positioning, making sure those squishies on the front line, or those squishies in the back line, sorry, are actually separated. So when Lazy closes the gap with Poppy Bomb, he can take them down without worrying about maybe a Ruckus up in his face, maybe an Inara, who is very, very good at sustaining through all of his burst damage, exactly as you can see right here. And Elven Path does fall now isolated and alone to Lazy. Looking for Perdo is going to continue this frag potential.
And the other big side as well, mentioning back to the fragability, Bugsy has just not had that big of an impact as of yet. Of course, very hard to track down a Bomb King, and Drox is so mobile with having an Accelerant Legendary, and of course just the sheer fact of having Nether Step available, not to mention the fact he did go Dark Stalker to Dialer. There's not many targets for him to lock into. Trying to find shots onto the Barrack every now and again, trying to find shots onto Ash, but really both of those shields that those characters possess are good enough to usually keep them out of the way of these projectiles from Bugsy.
Right, and we've also got to remark on the fact that we did have a pretty major change to Eevee in OB53, right? You saw that her projectile speed basically doubled, but the bonus damage was removed from Blink, and now without that ability to hit for maybe 1100 off the back of a Blink from Eevee, she's having much more difficulty at getting in and maybe two-shotting champions, which she would have otherwise been able to. Trying to box out versus Lazy here is just about surviving and winning this trade thanks to Reprieve, and may just be able to get the kill as they do take out Lazy's Poppy Bomb, but still you can see just not quite as effective at that close-range Eevee style, playing much more from mid-range, but when Lazy gets the Saw off, still just as effective. District 69 still pushing in overtime here.
Yeah, and this is good now. Bugsy cleaning up 2, and finally we saw the conclusion of that 1v1 battle between Bomb King and Eevee. It looked to be going Lazy's way, but again, just so able to maneuver very quickly as Bugsy in Soar, able to kind of trigger himself back and forth and kind of flick left and right to try to avoid those remote detonations. And once again, we're going to see another iteration of it as Lazy is actually trying to chase down Bugsy, but that's not something you want to do, as there's just too many abilities in her kit to get her out of the fray.
And right now, Bugsy is not the player that Lazy needs to be focusing on. Bomb King with their kill potential has got to be focusing on the front line. Dialer, frustration, and Troxus Accursed Arm there maybe tries to shut down the Winter Witch. Does get the kill eventually, but that's a big, squishy kill potential ultimate exhausted already. That was Seismic Crash we just held on the objective as well, mitigated out by the effects of the Dome Shield from Barrack. But up on the payload will be Sheepa. Can they find the damage? No. Lazy, Dialer come back in to defend successfully. Gangstars lead 3-1.
And questionable choice from Elvin Path. He actually opted to stay in that dome shield trying to frag out Barrick, but there were 2 turrets already down plus the 3rd from the dome shield. He was just able to kind of bob and weave like a slalom skier, moving in between each of those and losing himself from the sight of Anar. Does fall. That's a big pick off. A rare mistake for Elvin Path, but one that cost them a potential push.
We like to call that the dwarven wiggle there. Bonka, a little bit too mobile. Still, 13 seconds left to go. And one thing we haven't remarked on so far is Shift. We've got 10 seconds. Champion bans coming out for this game. District 69 took away Makoa. Targeted at Thiel. Gangstars, they want nothing to do with Grover. It's really interesting how we originally thought as well, going back to it, it's like, oh, we're going to see Maldamba taken away, we're going to see Ceres taken away. These bans are 100% targeted at both teams, and we've already seen how devastating Bugsy is on this Grover, making sure his champion pool is reduced just by that one who is now super effective in OB53. It's a good look for Gangstars, but potentially District 69 are taking control of this objective again. 19% and climbing. Very healthy on the objective is Perdo. Jara put under fire, but a nice shadow travel keeps them safe.
Yeah, this is actually looking good for D69 at the moment. A couple of big health pools still on their side and having the point control in their favor. And actually Thiel, who rides in completely valiantly on the mountain, will actually zoom right through that Dread Serpent and into the back to help find Perdo killed. Bugsy will turn on Tyler, though, which is a big pick for them. But still, Bonker is setting up. He's got Bird right there with him. The Bash brothers, the B brothers, able to set up and get themselves on the point, while meanwhile, Fuel and Lazy are just out right in front and just completely just poking away.
And they're able to do so as well. So well, because that healing coming through from Bird with Mending Spirits at range. And also, if they need it, a Ripened Gourd as well, slowing everybody down who they could be fighting, setting up the kill potential well. But it's Sheepa who tries to engage here at 90% for Gangstars. Gets the objective, does contest. Grumpy Bon is here though, stuns them out. Sheepa, unable to stay alive, will fall to Bird, and Bugsy's now trying to contest. Finds the killing spree, looks for another shot onto Bird, but is forced to retreat. Whiffs a blink entirely. Gangstars so close to capturing here. Shift, who's it going to be?
Oh, but there's actually a stun on both sides as the Grumpy Bomb finds Blood. The Seismic Crash finds 2, but still it's just Elvin Path left alive. Lazy doing some solo things in the backline, able to find himself a kill onto Gera, who will not be around anymore to keep Elvin Path up. Perdo falling very low. Dialer smells blood, but it doesn't make a difference if that kill goes or not. It is going the way of Gangstars in map number 1.
And that was a really big play from Lazy there at the end. Shift. Again, driving a wedge like we saw Bonkard do on Barrack previously between the front line and the back line, ensuring that that healing from Jera could not hit Elvin Path. I mean, they're running Mother's Grace, so they get so much sustain out of that legendary in combination with the Restore Soul, but cutting off that line of healing whilst Bird was still alive, at that point, it's just a math problem, right? It's like, I have healing, you don't have any healing, you're gonna die. District 69 wiped. Gangstars 4-1, not a bad scoreline to kick things off.
Not at all, especially if you're a Gangstars fan. I mean, that looked very convincing. And you take a look at Lazy, who's fueling himself today on the Bomb King. Clearly, he goes 26-12 with over 100,000 damage. Leaps and bounds above the next closest, which is the 86k from Perdo on Cassie.
We've got so much of that kill potential that we saw on Perdo's Cassie previously shut down. Let's talk about the amount of deaths on Perdo as well, because it's not just the kills that matter here. It's the fact that Perdo is sitting highest in the game at 15. There's a very, very clear focus that came out from the squad of Gangstars onto this player throughout the duration of the game. Also with Bugsy as well, but I'd argue that Evie putting herself in more dangerous situations is likely to die a little bit more. But I think that Gangstars recognize how devastating this Cassie pickup can be and have really tuned their focus around appropriately, and it's worked out very, very well for them.
Props out to Dialer, who's again coming in only having played just the 1 week of qualifiers with Gangstars back during that qualifying period, is setting the tone early. He chased right into Perdo. He was the main focus, had a big bullseye over Cassie, probably sub out Ziggs for bullseye, and that's exactly where Dialer was tuned into for a lot of that game. And a couple of times he dove in and was a little out of position, got punished for it, but more often than not, the displacement that the Androxus provided against Cassie was enough to keep Perdo at bay, at least mostly. I mean, still 86,000 is a lot of damage, but the 15 deaths, not having that damage there is big, especially considering where your only other big damage dealer is Bugsy. And he, again, like you mentioned, 13 deaths did not do nearly as much as I think they wanted him to when they were drafting up this comp.
Maybe a damage deficit, maybe a compositional error. Gangstars, though, they do take map number 1 in their stride. We're going back to the map draft now, Shift. And just to reiterate as well, you saw it on your screens earlier, everybody. Brightmarsh and Stonekeep taken off the table here, and those are very targeted bans as well. We know how effective Gangstars are on Brightmarsh, and District 69 are on Stonekeep, for example. So we've seen Serpent Beach now. That's fallen the way of the squad of Gangstars. Frog Isle is up next, and again, before we get ready to broadcast this game, let's talk a little bit about champion bans here. Very targeted this last game. Grover and Makoa definitely champions that we are seeing now taken off the table, especially stripping away Thiel's Makoa. What do you expect maybe might come out on a map like Frog Isle?
Again, Frog Isle, it brings in that environmental hazard. I think we'll definitely see probably Ash come right back into it. I would be surprised if we don't see Bomb King again. But of course, you know, Drogos does well here. We didn't see any Drogos in this last game, and Bugsy, who did not have the most outstanding performance on Eevee, it would be interesting to see what they decide to go with him, especially considering if Gangstars really does seem to believe that Grover is the big factor that allowed D69 their time thus far and OB53 to be so successful. If they ban him out again, it very well could turn into Bugsy kind of struggling for a pick if he doesn't go Drogos.
Yeah, no, we'll just have to find out exactly how that goes down. And yeah, it was really interesting as well. You remarked on the Drogos element there, Shift, as well. Do you think that, just hypothetically, with Grover's increased projectile speed, and with a lot more increased projectile speeds across the realm with Cassie and even Pip coming into play, we saw Drogos be really effective in set number 1 versus Torvald, where they managed to pick up it was Fishko, if I'm not mistaken, on the very first game. Picks up a morale boost too very early and just Dragon Punches Torvald again and again and again, not really having to pick up a high level of Wrecker to deal with shields anymore. But do you feel like Drogos is a lot more vulnerable in this current meta in OB53 just because of those increased projectile speeds?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, his big kryptonite from OB52 was there's a Drogos on the board taking Droxtus. But now I think that with Cassie's projectile speed being faster, she becomes a viable counter to that airborne Drogos pickup. But at the same point, when you're looking at characters like Ash coming into play, and Grover, and Inara, Drogos might be one of the best counters to them, simply because, again, that Dragon Punch, as you mentioned, is so good at just instantly deleting those big bodies.
Well, you can see that the games so far have got us as commentators asking as many questions as the players themselves, I'm sure, as to what works, what doesn't, what's good enough to win, and what maybe might send you going home at the end of this best-of-5 final set. Map number 2, once again, will be on Frog Isle. We'll have the game up in just a second. Gangstars currently leading the set. We'll see if they can keep up the streak or if District 69 are in for a comeback.
Keep 100, y'all do this for my soul like a dawn. Put the stereo on.
Put your hands in the air, we'll be alright. Oh, yeah. You keep messing up my mind, but I love your style. No, I'm loving your lips like a candy bar. I ain't kidding, I just wanna have ya. Ain't kidding, I just gotta have ya. Yeah, starting with a little small talk. People whistling from the sidewalk. I just wanna spend some time together, and this night will keep on getting better. Step into the club, I can feel the room is full of love. Cause you play the top division, we'll be running the night, it's a mission. Yeah, wanna see you move, yeah. Hurry up before I lose, yeah. Cause I'm addicted to your hot kiss, and I can't take it no more. Put your hands in the air, we'll be alright. Up my mind, but I love your style. And I'm loving your lips like a candy bar. I ain't kidding, I just wanna have ya. Ain't kidding, I just gotta have ya.
Yeah, Magic Bands. Hey, today, making history.
Ain't messing around, girl. No, I want you.
Welcome back to game number 2 of this best-of-5 grand final set then. Champions, Gangstars still in the right up one game. District 69 on the left at a bit of a deficit after the last one, looking to turn their time around. We're off to the sunny shores of Frog Isle to see if they can do so. Let's see exactly what they're bringing to the table in terms of champions and legendary choices. It'll be Bugsy on Accelerant Bomb King to kick things off. Sheeper on Aerial Assault Ruckus, Jarrah on Mortal Reach Ceres, Elvenpath on Aegis Fernando here, and Pardo on Exaction Cassie yet again.
Interesting choice again, Makoa and Grover being banned as we almost anticipated. Bird will be using Meldamba with Ripe and Gourd. Lazy now on Drogoz with Combustible. Feel with the Battering Ram. Ash. Barrick will be played by Bonker with Architectonics, and Dialer will switch to the frontline role with Anara coming out triple tanks.
Now, I'm really interested to see Lazy actually make the swap over here to Combustible Drogoz, because whilst he's run it a few times previously, Lazy has a characteristic Wormjet style play. Maybe it's something about the map, the fact that Combustible can be utilized so well on an open map like Frog Isle, and it is coming out quite well as Lazy already is sitting relatively high, or actually midway through the damage charts, maybe not coming out as well as it could do early on, but quickly trying to turn that around with a kill onto Bird, and again, Combustible goes through, gets caught by Elvenplath. Nice defensive play from the tank there. Gangstars and District 69, they're relatively even so far, despite District 69 having the early cap advantage.
Yeah, and actually Bugsy makes a little bit of a mistake by pushing him with that accelerant too early. His team was trying to follow up with him, but there were just too many health pools that were full with Lazy, Bird, and Dialer all at near full HP. Bomb King pushes in and actually gets punished very quickly by all three of those, and the rest of his team was not there to help follow up with the support, so now above 66%, pardon me, 63% is the side of Gangstars.
But they have lost a member. That was Ash, so they haven't lost a great big source of damage, but still pushing in now is Prodo, is Sheepa. Hold that thought though, Seismic Crash comes through from Dialer. That's going to get the shutdown onto Prodo, and utilizing the impasse just to buy some space. Dialer picks up a double kill, gets a triple kill, trying to find the quad, but can't quite manage it. But still, it's good enough to buy time for Gangstars to pull ahead on this objective. Now 78-78 and climbing up. Gangstars looking to cap this one.
And it's looking good, too. The zone might just be enough as Thiel is up front with Lazy. Bonker taking the ledge side, respectively left for them. It's just a complete surround, and this is actually going to free up a lot of space, especially if they can deal with Elvenpath. Perdo falling very low will just be able to catch himself a nice heal from Saris while using that dodge roll away. But again, Lazy continues to hit these massive Spitfires, and with that combustible, that damage over time, plus just the displacement, it's opening up a lot of spaces. Bugsy in the backline will actually commit that King Bomb just to killing Bird, finds himself a double kill as he flips back and finds Bugsy's that kill on the Dialer before he falls. Lazy with the double kill himself. It's the frontliner still available though with the support for D69, and that might be enough to get the defense on the line.
It appears that it will be, as Lazy, forced to concede there, will retreat, throwing out some rockets around the corner, and just in that last engagement, I think we had a really good demonstration of why Combustible over Wormjets here on this map shift, because there are so many low obstacles that you can shoot over and still apply poke onto your enemies. Super effective so far, displaces Perdo again, and that displacement is as dangerous as the damage, if not more so, if you manage to knock an enemy off the edge of the map, maybe into an environmental hazard, or just into the backline of your team. And with Lazy's fire spits being timed to knock enemies towards him rather than away, it's a good look for conversion as the payload continues to move.
Indeed it does, and finding all the space to move forward as Lazy continues to go airborne and is using those salvos to zone away that left side of the spawn. Dialer, meanwhile, is focusing on the right side of the spawn. Again, just good concentration and focus from Gangstars, and all four players are just completely overhauling into the spawn area, completely controlling the center part of where this payload will be moving through down the road, and looking to come right back in as this defense, but they're already poked out pretty nicely. The frontliner's taking a lot of damage. Dome Shield to the zone away. Thiel is jumping inside the crash from downtown, finds 2 stuns, and the salvo connects onto the Sheepa to kill him down.
Absolutely massive seismic crash. And Lazy finds a triple kill off the back of all that. I can't believe it, Shift. We'll come to that seismic crash in just a second as Elvenpath just accepts defeat there. Gangstars had the damage to push the payload through, and recognizing no chance of respawns coming through in enough time, just stands there defeated. But let's talk about that seismic crash. Dome Shield goes down, Shift. Seismic crash comes through. The positioning just so to bypass Fernando's shield, go behind him, and the stun hits everybody. Beautiful precision from Dialer, who's normally reputed for their damage play rather than their frontline.
Yeah, it's just there's so many things that are accumulating to what has just happened with that 2-0. I mean, you name a number of really key factors. And looking back into how is D69 going to come back in, they do have a couple of cauterizers at level 2, which is good, which is actually really good considering the fact that they are down the 2 points. But the big thing is going to be how could they best utilize these ultimates, I think. I mean, we saw Bugsy sacrifice the King Bomb just to get rid of Bird. And when you're looking at that, an ultimate for a support kill, when you have 3 tanks, is actually really better for Gangstars than it is for D69.
Right, and that comes to be the really important question as Hexafire is activated by Sheepa, but Lazy continues to answer back with combustible damage. Look at Gangstar's composition. It's 3 front lines, a Maldamba, and Drogos. Now, bear with me on this one, Shift. Because if you're Bugsy, you might want to play the kind of Bomb King that, you know, gets into the back line, sets up the damage, drives a wedge between the front line and the back line, and takes out the squishy targets. But the squishiest target on Gangstar's squad is Lazy, who has 2,400 health on Drogos. And then it's Maldamba. If you aggress on the Lazy, he just goes up into the air or turns around on you. Maldamba has Slither and Dread Serpent, and then it's free. It's 3 front lines. There's nothing you can do. District 69 have no way back in. Bugsy closes the gap a second too late. Gangstar's capture 3-0. No sign of slowing this down. District 69 have to find some kind of answer.
This form of Lazy is absolutely super Saiyan right now for Gangstars. He's playing an absolutely massive game. Not only you allude to the fact, yeah, well, of course, but it happens. It happens to the best of us. The fact of the matter is, you kind of allude to the fact that there's not a lot of damage built into this team comp for Gangstars, but the fact of the matter is, if you look at the damage charts, the Barrack and the Inara are up above even the top damage for D69. That's a huge problem. Bugsy in the backline with the King Bomb will not find anybody. He finds a little bit of Lazy, but still, you mentioned Bird able to escape with a nice massive slither. Sheepa is trying to find damage as well, but is forced into the emitter and the repulsor field at the same time. Elven Path is getting slowed by Red Pin Gord, is trying to find his way in, but Bonker is already set up, and Bird is happy to heal him, and Elven Path falls.
It's just a case of what do? You try and get in and deal damage to somebody, but then the rest of the frontliners converge on you. If you focus down Lazy in the air, the frontliners are up in your face, and even though, yeah, Inara's Stone Spear is not the most high DPS output weapon, it's still consistent and confirmable damage, and as Elven Path runs in to try and contest, it's hit by everything. I mean, everything. I thought he was going to survive there for a second. Shield came up at the last moment, but no, shut straight down by a nice shot from Bird. Gangstars, they claim victory, game number 2. My goodness.
Good grief, man. I mean, every single aspect of this team of Gangstars is just, I don't even have the words to explain, to articulate how fluid this team looks. And we've seen them now in 2 different styles of team comps, right? I mean, we saw them utilizing more damage in the last game, having the Bomb King and Androxus perfectly successful, no problem. It was just the single Maldamba with the Ashen Barrack, and now we're seeing 3 frontliners with just Bird playing Maldamba. Again, I feel like you have to take Bird off of Maldamba, but at the end of the day, will it even matter? I mean, he's so good at Ceres. He's able to heal across many different champions, and I mean, he's the glue that's holding us all together. And you can see just the 1 death, again, being so survivable, and the 81,000 healing is massive. But, you know, props to every single player on Gangstars right here. Lazy had a massive game. Dyler had a couple of clutch walls that saved. I mean, it's just absolutely nutty to see how in tune these guys are right now.
It certainly is, and I don't think it's necessarily a matter of fact that District 69 played badly that game. I think a lot of this just came down to the draft, because District 69, they've got a couple of very high damage dealers, but their frontline damage output, yeah, they've got Sheepa there, but when the shields are up in his face, Ruckus really struggles. They're much better at maybe dealing with squishier lineups where they can bully them around. And then it's Elfenpath playing Fernando. They're a walking shield because there's so many tanky targets on the squad of Gangstars. Really, really on-point drafting from Gangstars. I'm going to call out a bit of a throwback here, Shift, to a couple of weeks ago in console Paladins, where we saw Gangstars' Xbox squad do a very similar draft to this Gangstars squad on the map of Jag Falls. I think the lowest health pool on that squad happened to be, was it 2,600 on Bomb King? They just drafted big, beefy bodies and rolled the game before the late game itemization came online, which might have helped break up the shields a little bit. So it's really neat to see these strategies kind of transcending regions, transcending platforms, and definitely the Gangstars organization as a whole, both of their teams seem to be in tune here.
Well, without a doubt, and continuing to show why they are the best in each of those platforms at the moment as we move forward and get closer and closer as the days tick off the calendar and towards Valencia. But regardless, the games are still at hand. It is a best-of-5 series, Vox. We're heading to map number 3, and you know, this is where I think D69, if they were to turn it around, it would potentially be on this map at Jaguar Falls. By far, one of the ones that they look really good on.
And we'll see if they can do so in just a second. Don't go anywhere, folks. Map number 3, do or die for District 69, coming up next after the break. Welcome back then, champions. Maybe one final time here on Jaguar Falls in the best of 5 finals set for the ESL Go4Paladins Europe Cup June monthly finals between Gangstars and District 69. My name is Hi-Res Vox, joined by Ohold Shift here to break things down one, potentially, as we said, final time. Shift, at some point you've got to just jump in and stop me, because these just do keep on getting longer. This is... I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. We got teams. District 69, their composition is weird.
I mean, exactly. It's without a doubt. And leading off that chart, let's take a look at Zin. Oh, this will be fun.
Right.
Bugsy will be picking him up. Retaliation chosen. Probably mimicking just off of the Ruckus. Sheep will be using Focusing Lens with the Yigera with the Catalyst Pit. Perdo using the Totemic Word for Rock and Elven Path on Arctic Spirit.
We'll come to Gangstars in just a second, but we may not need to, as the only change in their lineup looking from it from last time. Well, they got the Cassie in here as well, and hold that thought. Oh my goodness, Retaliation from Bugsy. Zin doing a lot of work, but unable to close out the kill quite enough onto Bonkar. Gets 3 hits off there, so that's 2100 damage in quick succession, but again, just too little too late. Gangstars come out on top in this engagement.
Oh, without a doubt, and again, it'll be interesting to see what impact, if at all, this Zin has. First time, at least in my eyes, that we've seen the fact that this has not been a competitive player or a competitive champion we've seen as of yet. Very quick capture, minute 35 on the clock as the scoreboard turns 1-0.
I feel like at this point, District 69 are going, you know what, we'll try something weird. We might as well try something weird, right? We've got a DreamHack upcoming. Maybe a Zin pickup could be something that they're interested in looking at. We know that Zin wasn't really changed much between OB52 and OB53, and testing the waters here, not a bad thing to do. Also, got to remember, Zin into Ruckus, a relatively good pickup, because if you do stand in front of a Ruckus Hexafiring, you've got counters for days. It's like Reversal, except the damage is constant instead of timed. And actually, that is Zin going in and picking up a kill. Bugsy gets one on the dialer, and then, again, meets this Ruckus. Very good trigger discipline, though, from Ruckus. Make sure that they don't fire straight into the counter and force it to Billow. Bugsy has nowhere to run. Bit of a repeat of last time. Gets run down by Bonkar here.
And I think that's the biggest problem, you know, when you look at the ability and opportunity for Zin to pick between the different legendaries. Retaliation sounds great, especially against Ruckus, especially at like low and mid-level casual plays. But when you're dealing with the best of the best in the top 2 teams in Europe, they're going to know to take their finger off the trigger when Retaliation is picked up and when counter comes online. Again, happening here. Bugsy in trouble is forced back into the Billow. He's getting thrown at while he's running away as Lazy up top continues to assert some dominance. And meanwhile, the character that can assert dominance, Steel, is right up front and putting herself between the payload and the spawn doors. Steel able to zone away a very successful easy push for Gangstars.
It's really great to see Theo actually just sort of surging forwards on a champion that isn't Makoa for once. He's been almost pigeonholed, I feel, into Makoa for a very long time. Is able to play other champions, certainly, but now it really seems to have found their footing on Ashe, rocking the Independence Day weapon there as well, that flat cannon. And is doing a great job. Notable Bulldozer 2 pickup as well, working out well against Elven Path with the area damage. I actually really like this. It very much forces Elven to place their his turrets away from each other and also away from Perdo's healing totem, which could otherwise be devastated by that flat cannon.
Without a doubt. You actually see that mimic the Bulldozer 2 actually coming out. 100% bonus damage for Thiel against deployables. You have, 3 different characters that put things on the ground between the turrets, the illusions, and that totem. So smart pickup, and again, that extra area damage will help in taking those off the field.
Well, off the field potentially is going to be all of Gangstars as Polymorph came out to the back line, but able to withstand through all of that was Gangstars. And now out comes the Hexafire. Bonkar finds 2 in a row. Looking for a third if they can find it, but Sheep is going to retreat in just enough time. And even those aerial assault, those recharge of their mobility are coming back so fast. Sheepa might just be able to survive for a second or 2 before being shut down by Dialer's Cassie. This is just devastating. District 69 don't look coordinated here.
No, I mean, it almost feels like a throwaway game when it comes down to it. You can see that what they were trying to do, having a very central point fight and let Zin kind of get into the background. But again, when it comes down to the Retaliation Legendary, you just don't hit it. And that's a lot of value that you've invested in just completely moot and wasted. And you can see again here, Perdo in a lot of trouble. Be forced into Ghost Walk. The Gourd might be enough to kill him. Ooh, just barely escaping over, but Lazy will say, not so fast there, buddy. Coming right back in. Thiel able to escape. Bugsy trying to chase him down. And the Retaliation has come out line, but still just so much damage funneled into a low health pool champion like Zin and Lazy, meanwhile with the King Bomb, able to find Gera in the back line.
Yeah, you make the comment of low health pools there. Just to reiterate once again, Gangstar's lowest health pool champion on this squad is Cassie at 2400.
Yeah.
They're a fat team, and that's with a capital PH right in there. And as Bomb King continues to throw out bombs, and Zin just gets burnt apart and burnt to a crisp by the gourd from Maldamba on the ground. I've got to ask you a hypothetical here, Shift. Do you think that maybe seeing the Smolder legendary would have been more effective for Zin just to have some self-sustain?
100%, and in this caster's opinion, it's the only viable option competitively because it has self-sustainability and escape built into it. Retaliation seems great, but at the high level where people understand how the character works, they're not going to shoot it. And the other one being the guillotine, good against high health pools, but still that might not be enough. And speaking of not enough, D69 not able to put together a roster or a comp here that was even at the same level of Gangstars throughout all three of these games. 4-1-4-0-4-0. That's a lot of momentum jumping into this upcoming tournament in Valencia.
It certainly is. And although the first couple of games were relatively close and competitive, this last one, again, we made the remark of saying it looked like a throwaway game. I think it was testing out a composition, but even if it was a nice angle, I mean, it's triple support, right? It's going to be counter late game by Cauterize. Maybe they can win off of CC, but it was the very fact that we had the Bulldozer 2 pick up of Thiel, I think really threw a wrench into the works for this squad. They just didn't have the capabilities to deal with the amount of area damage that Ash brings to the table. That establishment that we're so used to seeing from deployable Nightmare compositions like this did not exist. Great counterplay by Gangstars. Nice try with the draft from District 69, but I'm not 100% sold on it just yet.
Yeah, me neither, to be completely honest. And you bring up a very solid point there as you look through the categories. I mean, the damage numbers weren't terrible whatsoever for the side of D69. They're able to find 24,000 damage out of the Zin. It's not bad. But Lazy finds 45,000, Dialer finds 37,000. I mean, there was just no central team coordination. I mean, the objective time alone, I mean, they have a total of 16 seconds on an objective across all the players playing for D69, and that's the struggle with the team comp they tried pulling here.
Yeah, it seems to have very much been a struggle through and through for this squad, but we do have to say GG's and congratulations to the side of Gangstars. Taking a look back at the bracket today, Shift, from the games that have gone through, you can see that Gangstars is now 3-0 in the finals and will take home the big portion of today's cash prize pool of €500 for the ESL June monthly finals. WASD Sports versus Flashpoint Paladins still going on. We'll have updates for you and a live bracket on the ESL page as soon as we hear information about that. But that's not all that we've actually got going on so far today in terms of competitive Paladins. It's been a really interesting look so far at the European side of things, but I've got to wonder what the North American squad is doing as well on their side of the pond and what they might be bringing to the table. And Shift, you got some information about what's upcoming for that as well.
Sure do. North America ESL will be happening once again tonight. We've seen a number of South American and Latin American teams show up, which has always been good to kind of get that cross-regional competition between some of the top in Latin America and some of the top in North America. So tonight at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be seeing another iteration of the Rise of the Champions series. And I know I am personally very excited to see who shows up and what they come with, especially with this fresh OB53 patch. We've seen so much craziness here today. I can only imagine that North America has their own options as far as what they believe might very well be viable in this new patch.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great to see. I'll be there watching. You can bet you that I'll be in chat as well, because we've seen some phenomenal performance come out of both regions recently. And now with all teams qualified for DreamHack Valencia Shift, let's talk a little bit about, well, none other than DreamHack Valencia. As on your screen right now, you can see that we've got a very special cosmetic available for you who might be tuning in to watch the broadcast during that time. That's right, Maeve is getting a new cosmetic into the realm in OB53, and it is the DreamHack exclusive skin. Now, this is a drop from Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you will be able to earn this during the event of DreamHack Valencia. And that will be dropped for viewers in Twitch chat as long as you've linked your Twitch and Hi-Rez accounts. And you can find out details about that by going to hirezstudios.com/link. And yeah, it's looking absolutely beautiful here. It's in celebration of the event. We've got the DreamHack sort of stereotypical or typical pattern of their aesthetic all across her shirt as well as her cape, which looks amazing in games. And you can bet you that whilst I'm casting, and maybe even if I'm not and I'm waiting in the wings, I'm going to be there on my iPod, on my phone, just sitting in Twitch chat, waiting for one of these drops to come through. Once again, this is a drop exclusive skin. If you're interested in having a chance to win it, make sure your Twitch account is linked and tune in during DreamHack Valencia. For both, I think we'll have those drops running during the PC as well as console, but we'll have to have hard confirmation on that. And Shift, as far as the schedule and broadcast times and everything goes for that, we've got this brand new partnership, or relatively new partnership, with Paladins World to produce the website Paladins Esports. And if I'm not mistaken, we can find out some details there as soon as they are released. Would that be the best place to go?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the brothership of Dave and Kenneth have been putting out a lot of great content on top of keeping up with all of the results and schedules coming out for every form of competition. Of course, they will be the big source of information, as well as following Twitter at Paladins Pro. We'll have clips, updates on scores, as well as matchups of where to find it. It will be a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday event coming up in just a short couple of weeks in the middle of July.
And there we have it, folks. Once again, GG to Gankstars, the winner of the ESL Paladins June monthly finals. And for those of you who've enjoyed the competition, you're playing on PC and you're looking for a way to get involved, whether you're from Europe, whether you're from North America, or maybe another region, you can check out Paladins Esports. That is paladinsworld.com, where we have a weekly thread which goes out listing all the community tournaments. And if you're after ESL competitions specifically, visit esl.pm/Paladins ESL to be able to sign up and get involved. Once again, my name has been Hi-Rez Vox on the mic, joined by iHoldShift and Hi-Rez Pretty Hair a little bit earlier. You can find us on Twitter as well, at Hi-Rez Vox, at iHoldShift. Make sure that's all in capitals. I know it's not case sensitive in the URL, but make sure it's all in capitals. And of course, at Hi-Rez Pretty Hair. And from all of us here from tonight at ESL Paladins, we wish you a very good night. Thanks for watching, and we will see you back again next time.
This is the hour, the darkest place. Dante's Inferno, the devil's maze. It's a good world, good world gone bad. Affairs. Half the people die while the rest of us are splitting hairs. It's a good world, good world gone bad.